Good afternoon, early evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Oceanside City Council for June 5th, 2024. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask for roll call. Mr. Navarro?
Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Keim. Councilmember Joyce. Present. Councilmember Robinson. Here. Councilmember Weiss. Here.
Thank you. Please rise for the invocation. Tonight we have Father Brent Kruger from St. Thomas More.
Dear God, who governs all things, we ask your blessing upon this City Council meeting. May all those who speak about things that they are concerned about not just be heard, but be listened to. May all those who make decisions take their roles seriously and use your wisdom to decide the best path. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please, you may be seated. All right, good evening again. This is the part that is something about sharing Oceanside. Sometimes it has to do with sharing what's happening here in Oceanside. Sometimes it has to do with national celebrations that we also do here. The first one is proclamation is in honor of June Pride Month 2024. So Max Disposti, please come on down. And everybody else, yes, the team, the Pride team. This is our annual proclamation that I'm very especially proud of because our LGBTQ community here in Oceanside is very active, very positive, always moving forward on civil rights issues and education and just so much that they do at the North County Resource Center, LGBTQ Resource Center. I'd like to go ahead and read the proclamation first and then hand the mic off to Max. And then he can... Yes. Yeah, okay. Oh, yes. Thank you. Proclamation in honor of June Pride Month in the City of Oceanside 2024. As we celebrate and declare June as Pride Month in Oceanside, we stand with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community in our own City of Oceanside as they declare their own pride in who they are and who they love. June Pride Month is the birth of Pride celebrations. We honor the fight of the LGBTQ community through so many years of fight for equality, acceptance, and respect, at great personal risk to themselves. The very first New York protest at the Stonewall Inn in 1969 inspired Pride celebrations around the world and sparked the LGBTQ civil rights movement in America. While there has been remarkable progress towards equality in recent years, members of the LGBTQ community in the United States and the world still face unacceptable levels of discrimination and violence. This year alone, 500 anti-LGBTQ bills were introduced alone in the U.S., and in the 2023-2024, we have had the highest number of anti-LGBTQ laws in place in many states. Transgender women of color in America continue to be killed in disproportionate numbers by transphobia, hate, and racist violence, and they continue to seek justice. Whereas the City of Oceanside is a multicultural, diverse community comprised of residents and visitors who come from all walks of life and from all over the world. And whereas City of Oceanside promotes a respectful and inclusive environment where all diverse people are respected, included, affirmed, and celebrated. And whereas the North County LGBTQ Resource Center was founded in Oceanside in 2008, along with North County Pride by the Beach, and has been an advocate for equality and inclusiveness while providing valuable support and life-saving services in all of the North San Diego County region. And whereas since 2008, the LGBTQ Resource Center has served thousands of people every year, it has created the first affirming gender care services in North County through counseling services, provided LGBTQ awareness training to police, hospitals, and school districts, human trafficking prevention programs, services for homeless youth and families, support to veterans and active duty military, and so much more. And whereas healthy and dynamic communities in the United States see LGBTQ centers as a driving force behind business development, safety, inclusiveness, and pride in our country's heritage and diversity. And whereas pride events in all cities contribute greatly to the local economy, including businesses, tax revenues, and tourism, as well as create a positive and inclusive image of the city. And whereas the North County LGBTQ Resource Center hosted Pride by the Beach on June 1st, 2024, this past Saturday, from noon to 6 in the Oceanside Civic Center, attended by thousands of people. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Esther Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby declare June 2024 as June Pride Month in the City of Oceanside, welcoming and encouraging all North San Diego County communities and LGBTQ families and individuals to come together and celebrate Pride-related initiatives throughout the month of June.
Actually, I would like our Pride Director, Roxanne Dutridge, to say a few words because, you know, she's the one really that put up the party. So here we are.
Fantastic job, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the accepting all the calls. Thank you.
It's all right. So this year we had the biggest turnout we've ever had. We had 20,000 people there. We had 173 vendors. We had people come from out of state. People spent the whole weekend in Oceanside, and they had no idea how inclusive this city was and how welcoming it was. So I was very proud of our city this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just adding, as for all of you that know what Pride is, like Roxanne was saying, it's really a celebration of affirming love practices in a way of all our community has showed up in solidarity, and we're looking forward to do the same at the Filipino Festival this Saturday, at the Juneteenth the following Saturday. We're so proud to have a city that makes sure that our local heritage and less local heritage celebrations are actually recognized, validated, and empowered. So thank you, Mayor, for always being there for that, and thank you, councils, for the proclamations and city staff that have been other than supportive, really affirming and showing up on the space as we were having the best event ever with zero incidents throughout the whole day from 6 a.m. that we were there until 10 p.m. cleaning up the streets. So thank you so much, community. Thank you.
Thank you. We can have a picture. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we have a proclamation in honor of Oceanside San Diego County Fair Day 2024. And we have with us Melinda Carmichael, the chief, the CAO. Yeah, I always forget what the A stands for. Oh my, okay, how much did you get for this? Okay, Eric. Anyway, sorry. If you can't see it, it's Eric, it's Councilmember Joyce on a banner. We can see it. Okay. Can we come in tight? Okay, no, not really. All right. So, there's so much information on this, I actually typed it bigger so I can actually read it. Whereas the San Diego County Fair, produced by the 22nd District Agricultural Association, is the region's largest annual community celebration. While it is hosted annually at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, it serves the entire county, including the beautiful city of Oceanside. And whereas the San Diego County Fair first began in 1880 and was, on at least one occasion, hosted in Oceanside. Very, very interesting fact here. According to historical records, while the fair has evolved and changed names and locations over the years, it has continued to serve as a gathering place for all San Diegans to have fun, dine together, listen to music, enjoy rides and games, see live entertainment, and learn about agriculture and the world around them. And whereas the San Diego County Fair provides opportunities for Oceanside small businesses, farmers, landscapers, gardeners, artists, crafters, woodworkers, photographers, collectors, and others to showcase their wares and talents. The fair helps promote all of San Diego County, including Oceanside, and brings area businesses, families, neighbors, and diverse communities close together in a festive atmosphere. And whereas the San Diego County Fair forms key partnerships with groups such as nonprofits, schools, sponsors, and youth development organizations to make the annual festivities more equitable, more educational, and more exciting for young people. Student Showcase, Best of K6, the Junior Livestock Show, Plant, Grow, Eat, Fair for All, Kids Days, and Care and Share Toy Drive are some of the programs that are a result of great partnerships between the San Diego County Fair and the San Diego County community. And whereas groups from the City of Oceanside participate in the San Diego County Fair as entertainers and performers. This includes Almas Ocultas, Danza de los Diablos, Los Revelados del Dragón, Doa's Daydream, Kuhai Halau O Ilima Pa Olapa Kahiko, Vertical Limit Band, and Visionary Dancer. And I'm sure I butchered a few of those names, but okay. Whereas the City of Oceanside is a key community partner of the San Diego County Fair and participates in the fair's annual Community Street banner program that highlights the city's residents. So it's show and tell, right? That's what you meant to do here. Okay. And almost done here. It's a lot to do, guys. Yeah. Whereas Oceanside ranked number 4 among cities of origin, number 4, for visitors to the 2023 San Diego County Fair. And whereas Oceanside residents are able to easily visit the fair using the city's bus and train stations thanks to the Fair Tripper, a combination Fair and North County Transit District Breeze and Coaster ticket. Those who use this transit option can catch a free shuttle from Solana Beach Station. And whereas the 2024 San Diego County Fair runs from June 12th to July 7th, used to end on July 4th, but it's extended to July 7th, except for Mondays and Tuesdays, providing 20 days of fun, family, food, adventure, entertainment, educational opportunities for residents of Oceanside and other San Diego County communities. And last whereas, the 2024 San Diego County's Fair theme is Let's Go Retro, focusing on the era of the 1950s through the 1990s, a period of time that saw Oceanside grow into a vibrant coastal community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim June 12th, 2024 as San Diego County Fair Day in the City of Oceanside and recognize the San Diego County Fair's long-standing significance to our diverse communities and the City of Oceanside's connection to this cherished tradition. Mouthful, but that's what we got for the county fair. Yeah? Okay. I know a lot of you lived in the North County or somewhere in the county of San Diego. How many of you brought chickens home or ducks home from the fair? No? Well, we did. Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of things that you could do that were very much agricultural back in the day and maybe even today.
Yeah, today. Well, thank you very much. Here's a little item. Thank you. So thank you, Mayor Sanchez and council members. We very much are honored by having this proclamation, and we're very excited to be here tonight to see all of you and see your community engagement. We look forward to this year's fair, and Mayor Sanchez stole all of my thunder in that very long proclamation. But our fair does run June 12th, so it's only a week away, and goes through July 7th, now extending through the weekend of July 4th. We'll have all your favorites, the rides, the games, the fun, the agriculture, the shows. You'll see your esteemed Councilmember Joyce on this banner out in your community, as well as other members in the community. So thank you for participating in that.
Is there a dunking thing there at the fair?
No. I'll text you later.
You have to have a good aim, though.
So, and as Mayor Sanchez says, it's a Let's Go retro theme. So we'll be looking back into the cultures of the 90s and the 50s through those decades. You'll see in our theme exhibit a 1950s kitchen, bedrooms of children from the 60s through the 80s. We'll have our own vintage milk shop in there so you can get a malt, and just a lot of cool things this year. So, and do please take advantage of any of the discounts, because if you're getting there without a discount, you haven't done your research. There's lots of ways to get there for less, including the Tripper and O'Reilly Auto Parts and Albertsons. We have coupons all about. So hopefully we'll see you all out there at the fair this year, and thank you for this. We're very, very appreciative.
Again, thank you. This is Melinda Carmichael, Chief Administrative Officer, coming all the way to Oceanside to make this a really pleasant invitation to all. June 12th is our day, right? So come on down to the fair. More than one day, I'm sure. Thank you. So let's have a picture. And here's Joyce. Yes. Sure. Okay, now it's live. Okay, let's see if I can. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. All right, and the next thing is actually a presentation to the City of Oceanside, and that is the presentation of AARP Age-Friendly Network Certificate. So we have Manny Gonzalez, our Parks and Rec Director, coming down, as well as Johnny, right? And Israel Hernandez, and Joe Garbanzos, right? There we go. Yay. So this is very exciting. I've been trying to do age-friendly resolution for a while, so I'm so excited. And Steve Burrell, who was the actual pusher and maker of, making this happen. So thank you, Steve Burrell. I'm going to hand this mic to Manny, to Israel.
All right, thank you, Mayor, council members, attendees. So many of you are probably thinking, what the heck is AARP's Age-Friendly Network? So AARP's Age-Friendly Network, in short, is really a program that AARP facilitates that fosters a commitment from jurisdictions. Many of the cities within the county have made this commitment. Now Oceanside is among them. So the work is really just getting started, and it's an opportunity for community-driven programming and creating an action plan, not just for older adults. I think that's really important to underscore, but for older adults and their families, for all ages. Oftentimes you'll find that what's good for an older adult is good for children, is good for a parent with a stroller, is good for the wider community. We want the same things that everyone else wants: better parks, better amenities, and all community driven. So there'll be listening sessions, action planning sessions. If you're interested, talk to us outside to learn more. We want to work with every segment of the community. And then before I turn it over to our state president, I just really want to underscore that all the volunteers you see up here are the ones that drove this work. I always tell them that I'm a facilitator. I'm one of two staff with my really awesome colleague Tiffany Zhang, who couldn't be here today, but it's the volunteers that drive this work. So I just facilitate, the resources they might need, but they're the ones out beating the drum on age-friendly and why this is important, setting up the meetings with council members, events, and community. So it's really important that, you're all recognized as well, because I'm just, I work for you. I'll turn it over to our state volunteer president, Joe Garbanzos, now, of course.
Thank you, Israel. Well done. I'm delighted to be here in Oceanside. Congratulations, Mayor and council members and Team Parks and Recreation. This is an important milestone. This Oceanside, by this certification, has joined the state and about 80 communities across the state to become member of Network of Livable Communities. Oceanside is already doing livable community work. But this certification just puts a nice frame to it. So congratulations. Yes, and citizens of Oceanside, you should be proud of this important milestone because your city is committing to have intentional programs to make Oceanside more livable, not only for older adults, but for young folks as well. As Israel pointed out, what is good for 80-year-old people is also good for the 8 years old. So it's across the board. So congratulations. You know, we stand on behalf of our volunteers here. I don't have my red shirt, but I have my ARP shirt. So we stand on their shoulder because these volunteers are your willing collaborators to help you move your project forward. You own it, but we're going to be helping you as you move forward, as you cross another milestone. There's accountability that comes with being part of the network because you have to implement your program. If you don't, they'll drop you. So no pressure. No pressure. So again, congratulations. And we will be part of your journey as you become more livable communities for all your citizens. Thank you very much. And let me read this. This is important, right? So ARP, this is to certify that the City of Oceanside, California, has committed to becoming more age-friendly under the criteria established by ARP and has been accepted as a member of the ARP network of age-friendly states and communities. This certification is valid until April 8, 2026. So that's the accountability part. Signed by Nancy Elamond, Chief Advocacy and Engagement Officer for Community, State, and National Affairs, ARP, Washington, D.C. So that's it. It's official.
Thank you. Thank you. We also have commissioners here from the Parks and Rec Commission. And Steve Burrell, I think you should be the one accepting this because, you know, it was for a few months there, it was like he couldn't stop talking about AARP and what we was doing. So I have to give him the kudos, you know, for all the work that he did to bring this to us and also getting Manny on, getting him on fire about this and everything else. So.
Can I say something? I have to acknowledge Eric Joyce. It really started with him. He had the wisdom and the fortitude to see that we needed to do more to make this a better community for all of us, particularly for the aging like myself. But as you said, this is about love of the community. This is about making this a better place to live for everybody. So we're all going to win here, and hopefully we'll work together. You know, one of the most interesting parts of this for me is it really is a means for us to gauge particularly the older community. And that is absolutely critical to their health and welfare. They need to be engaged. They need not just stop and say this is the end. There's so many people that we can draw on. It's a huge resource that goes untapped. And we're going to change that. Thanks.
Let's get all the council members here. This is a big commitment here. 2 years. What did he say? He said that we can fall off. We're not falling off. Right? So we're kind of trying to get a picture here. Somehow, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the certificate.
Thank you. Congratulations. I remember.
Yes, it did. All right. Oh, I thought we were going to try to figure out who's the real, with the real Eric Joyce. Please stand up. No, not really. Okay. So we're at closed session report.
Thank you. Council met in closed session to discuss the status of labor negotiations with the Oceanside City Employees Association. OPOA non-sworn, and the MECO group. There's no reportable action under the Brown Act.
Thank you. Consent. Oh, before I do that, I want to let everyone know that item number 26, which was a council member item, number 26 is being continued to the next council meeting, which is June 26. So if you were here for that, stay for a while, but you don't have to. You don't have to stay. You're not going to be able to hear that item. All right. So consent calendar items are items 3 through 20. I understand that items 13 and 17 have been pulled. Any additional?
No additional items.
Okay. Any requests to pull from the council? Okay. There is a motion to approve the balance. There's a motion and second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item 13 is approval of the property use agreement between the city and Sci-Fi Networks Oceanside LLC for use of a portion of city-owned land located Elkhorn Zone adjacent to the southwest entrance on Oceanside Boulevard for a 30-year term with a revenue of $1.1 million and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement upon receipt of all supporting documents. Mr. Couldn't even think of your name. Mr. Knott. And you did mention earlier that you've been gone for a bit, so that absence makes the heart go fonder or makes the brain forget. I don't know. Either one.
My
Mr. Knott.
apologies for that, Mayor, council members, family illness and other situations presenting themselves. Yes, on this item, I want to take and lodge a situation that I think you need to address with Sci-Fi Networks. And that is, recently I've had a change in my internet. And being that I am a senior and I am also low income, when I found out, I've started researching, finding to see if I had other options or opportunities in the city. And knowing that the city has been working cooperatively with the Sci-Fi Networks Oceanside LLC on this, I looked into them and come to find out they are not senior or low income friendly. They have requirements and mandates that you have to subscribe to their phone network, making it unaffordable. And so this is something that needs to be addressed because there are other options that really beat them to the punch. And our citizens in the city, especially those who are low income or fixed income, especially those on low Social Security, need the assistance. So I figured I better bring that to your attention so it can be addressed early before they complete their network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nod. I'm sure we have somebody from staff to answer that. We are actually getting this. This is fiber. And not the actual service. You'll be able to choose whatever service that you want. And we're not being charged for the fiber, and then plus there's a revenue. Anybody else want to add from staff? Oh, Mr.
Yeah,
Rager.
Honorable Mayor and council members, and actually through our agreement with Sci-Fi, they actually are going to be offering a low-income program. And so once the system is deployed, that actually is one of the benefits of the program. And something that is actually a standout. We can certainly provide that additional information to Mr. Knott or anyone else who would like to receive it.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move approval. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 17. Mr. Navarro, I'm going to have you read this one. Thank you.
Item number 17 is resolutions to provide approval of the design of runway, electrical, and vault building improvement projects for the Bob Maxwell Memorial Airfield, acceptance of an AIP entitlement grant award from the Federal Aviation Administration, award a work order, which is part of the existing on-call consulting agreement with CNS Engineers Incorporated, submittal of an application for a State of California Department of Transportation of Aeronautics Airport Improvement Plan matching grant, authorization to accept the matching grant funds if awarded. And our speaker is Mr. Knott.
Yes, thank you. Mine was longer, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. What I'm bringing forth, I support the improvements down at the airport, at the Bob Maxwell Airport. But the problem is that no matter how much we try to improve this hobby airport, the safety down there is very, very limited because the airport cannot be expanded. We are developing the area around the airport to a point that it cannot be safely expanded. We're having crashes every year, and it's increasing. If you're keeping track in the media over the past few years. And even no matter what improvements that we're doing, and the way that the staff is bringing forward proposed developments like the Eddie Jones project, if you look at the size of the development, it looks like it's a separate runway that you can potentially land another airplane on. There are a lot of situations that are involved there that really need to look at, and there's no room, and it's being overdeveloped. And the safety for any of our people that use the airport or any visitors to the city is becoming to the point that may become perilous in the future. I think that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baudori. If you could, I had a chat with Mr. Baudori earlier today, and he assured me there's no increase in footprint, and it's mostly just the lights and some other stuff. Mr. Baudori?
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, Hamid Bahadouri, Public Works Director. You're absolutely correct, Mayor. The item in front of you today is only to receive grants, accept grants that will be used only for the design of improvements for the electrical lighting system. This item is in no shape or form has anything to do with any proposed expansion or modification or anything of that nature of the airport. We are working continuously with KDG, who's the manager operator of the airport, under contract with the city, and we're also working closely with the neighborhood, and there's an agreement that if there comes a day that the city or KDG has any plans to expand, modify, or reconfigure anything in the harbor, it will be in full consultation with the community.
Thank you very much. Yes, we do have that agreement that if there was any move to expand, that community, the airport community or behind the airport would be notified.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to move approval. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. This is item 21, presentation. This is the first of two general items. Presentation of San Diego County Water Authority proposed water rates for calendar year 2025. And we have a report by San Diego County Water Authority staff, along with Ms. Lindsay Leahy, our Water Department Director. And while this is informational only, I'm sure that we have a few comments from the dais here. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Lindsay Leahy, Water Utilities Director. I wanted to introduce Tish Berg with the Water Authority. She's the Chief Operating Officer and will be presenting the proposed calendar year 2025 rates and charges for the Water Authority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Sanchez and members of the council. It's a pleasure to be in front of you this evening, although I come varying news that I'm sure is difficult to hear, and but it is important, and it has to do with making sure that the infrastructure that we deliver to create for your water is safe and secure going into the future. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. We're in a difficult situation in this upcoming year with regard to our rates for multiple reasons. The main ones have to do with a reduction in our reserves that were used to stabilize rates previously, and so we drew those down out of our rate stabilization fund, which is now mostly depleted. Additionally, we have seen that our revenue has declined compared to what we expected, and so we have a revenue deficit as well.
Could you hold on just for a second? Could we up her mic volume? Thank you very much.
Thank you. While we're having those challenges, we still have the same debt portfolio based on investments made over the last several decades, as well as asset management on the multiple pipes and facilities that are necessary to deliver and treat water. As I mentioned, sales have continued to decline compared to what we anticipated and what we hoped. What you see here is the blue line, which is what we anticipated to happen with regard to sales, and the gray line showing what actually came in. And so it has been a sustained lower than expected, and so we have not generated the revenues necessary to cover our expenses. In response to this, as far as helping our governing board look at options, we identified and prepared 10 different alternatives for the board. Now, I know this chart is busy, so I'm going to explain it in very general terms. We provided them policy decisions based on either infrastructure risk or financial risk. Those were two levers that were identified by staff for the board to modify to affect a different rate. The items in green, which is a low to moderate infrastructure risk and a low financial risk, is where a committee of the board decided to make a recommendation to the full board. What makes up this rate increase, which is a double-digit rate increase, unfortunately, is predominantly external factors that are outside of the control of those within this region. So we have approximately a 4% rate increase from the Metropolitan Water District, where we purchase water as well as they deliver our Colorado River water. We've seen an increase based on the detachment of two agencies, and so the costs that they used to cover are now being spread over the 22 remaining agencies. And lastly, we're seeing an increase in our supply costs, our Colorado River supplies, as well as our stored water. The balance of what's being looked at for a rate increase is for our legal covenants associated with our $2 billion worth of debt, adherence to adopted board policies, as well as funding both our debt and our capital projects. Before bringing these policy opportunities to the board, staff look internally at operational efficiencies and identified many areas for budget cuts, including bringing some of our work in-house instead of using external consultants, keeping positions open while eliminating others, as well as accelerating and emphasizing our grant opportunity looking. We also identified a pilot program that we were looking at with some of our member agencies that may produce savings for them individually. Based on the board policy directives and initiatives, as well as the recommendation from the committee, this is the specific portfolio of rates that the board is considering. So these are the rates that make up the bill that comes to the City of Oceanside for water purchased each month. So you'll see that they vary based on our cost of service principles. And so this is what the board will be considering at their June meeting after setting a public hearing. What that means for the City of Oceanside and our 22 other member agencies is an increase of approximately 18% if approved. And so based on this chart, this shows what the impact is by each individual member agency. You can see that the City of Oceanside is not an outlier with regard to impacts. We've had an extensive rate development process, but we will not be completed with that, even if the board approves the rates in June. We are going to continue working on our long-range financing plan that has to do with how to identify securing future debt as directed by the board, and we'll continue to work with the member agency rate work group on how to look at our future rate models. And I want to thank this council for Director Leahy's work, both as a director on the governing board at the Water Authority and intricately involved in that member agency rate work group. Her expertise and experience that she brings to the table and intelligent questions are very much appreciated. We will have a public hearing. It was set by the board. It will happen on June 27th at 9 a.m. or soon thereafter. Individuals may participate either in person by coming down to our offices, and there's also virtual opportunities to participate. I've provided information on this slide. It's also on our website. The Zoom link is published prior to the meeting, and so we welcome input from the public as well as input, of course, from our member agencies as I'm here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you, and I believe Director Leahy has an item.
I did want to provide some context as to what this rate impact would potentially be to Oceanside customers. We modeled a potential 20% increase from the Water Authority to our customers. These are a single-family residential customers between low and high usage, so it's between 6 units and 24 units a month. The average increase to those bills would be about 11%, and this would be combined with the already approved City of Oceanside increases. Of that 11% increase that customers would see, 4% would be from City of Oceanside increases, and about 7% would be from the Water Authority cost increases. And we are available for questions if you have any, but again, this is an informational item and requires no action by council.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, we do. We have one speaker, Jimmy Knott.
Okay, this is a 19% increase from the Water Authority pass-through. Mr. Knott, 19 to 20.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. As a past recipient of the Senior Citizen of the Year, I would be remiss if I didn't speak up for my fellow senior citizens. You tonight have been given an award. You have also recognized the importance of senior citizens in our community. What we need to do is recognize that senior citizens, a lot of us, are dependent upon Social Security. We are limited by the CPI. I doubt that we will be getting a 20% increase in the CPI. I doubt we'll be getting an 18% increase in the CPI. What will take place? There is an increased risk of enhancement of poverty to our seniors, meaning that there will be, for those who are on minimum Social Security, of having to make hard choices. And if this is allowed to go through, that means transportation cuts, decisions to be made about medications, decisions to be made about meals, everything else in life. And you will be part of that decision making. So I would encourage you to take a serious look at it. We had into the city here in San Diego County Water Authority had a settlement with the Metropolitan Water District that could have been used to offset a lot of these increases. They decided, and you decided, well, we can go ahead and use it for other things without thinking about the future. San Diego County Water Authority also has property and businesses that could be shared with private enterprise. and could be also sold off to help ameliorate some of these increases. I heard nothing tonight about those possibilities. I didn't hear anything about working with the state of California to take and offset any type of increase to help seniors. I would encourage this council to advocate for such.
Thank you, Mr. Knott. Did staff want to, did you want to address that? Not staff, actually. This is really addressed to Water Authority.
Yes, it's my pleasure to. As someone who, growing up, had her utilities cut off as a child, I want to assure you, sir, that this is important to me, and it is something that I've been advocating for in my role at the Water Authority. The Water Authority has been working with state and federal officials to forward and further a low-income household water assistance program. Water has been growing as a percentage of the household budget significantly in the last decade, especially here in San Diego County, where we have invested in supply reliability. So while we're able to assure that our low-income individuals and our seniors have access to water, we have not assured that they can afford it. And so a program similar to those that are available in the utility sector for energy is something that we were advocating strongly for, understanding that water is becoming increasingly difficult to afford for those on the margin. And so we've been advocating specifically for the LIWAP program, the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. It was a pilot program. We were able to bring funds also into the region, $25 million, during the COVID pandemic. During this difficult rate season, we are looking at selling property in the city of Escondido, and we're hoping to receive between $6 and $9 million for that property to help offset other costs that we are looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Leahy, did you want to, Ms. Lindsay, sorry about that. Ms. Leahy, do you have any other comments?
I did want to add that to address the comment about the Metropolitan and Water Authority settlement, those funds, the portion that the city did prepay and overpay to the Water Authority and thus to Metropolitan, those were returned to the city. And at that time, council had directed during COVID to put together a rate relief program that was, allowed for anyone that was being impacted by COVID during, I think it was 2020, 2021, and 2022. I believe it expired in 2022.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. To council, Councilmember Weiss.
So as throughout the Water Authority service area, as we collectively use less water, the cost for the less water that we're using is going to go up.
The business model for the Water Authority and most water agencies, if not all, is based on promoting conservation because we are stewards of a natural resource. And the way that works is approximately 70% of our costs are fixed. The pipelines that deliver the water, the treatment plants, the pump stations. And yet, when you look at the revenue side of our equation, 70% is variable. And so when you see a shift in usage, unfortunately, we don't collect the revenue that's necessary to cover it. And that is something that the member agency rate work group is looking at, whether or not that business model should continue. It's also something that the local agency Information Commission, LAFCO, is also looking at as part of their municipal service review of the Water Authority.
Thank you. I just want people to know that the less water you use, the more expensive it's going to be to use less water. So the other question I have is, we have had, we are looking at expanding our local supply to take up about 50% of our total water use, which will further reduce the amount of water sales. So should we continue looking at local supply?
Local supply is an important part of the diversification portfolio for the region. And while we have more water than we currently need, we're in a situation right now where we're in that situation, in that case. With the new leadership of our general manager, Dan Denham, he's looking at ways to create deals so that we can monetize and create value for that for our region. He was able to negotiate such a deal in last calendar year that generated $20 million for the region to offset some of the costs that I presented tonight.
So it'd be like, so you're looking at increasing sales to use that supply?
We're looking at creating partnerships beyond the borders of San Diego County so that we can leverage the assets that our ratepayers have paid for.
Thank you.
Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just kind of staying on the local supply thing, with other cities doing similar type projects like San Diego City, I would imagine when their local supply project comes to fruition, it's going to be a major hit to your budget.
We're working closely with the City of San Diego as well as the others within the county that are creating pure water projects and including that in our models, yes.
And just out of curiosity, because you talked about the detachment of the two agencies, and I believe was it Rainbow and Fallbrook? Or
Correct, those were the two.
What was their, if you know, their percentage of total sales in, when they were a member? What towards your whole budget? Their percentage of water usage or sales? What
I don't know that off the top of my mind. I'm happy to provide that to Director Leahy.
Okay, I'm just curious. They're fairly small agencies. I didn't think they would have that significant of an impact, but neither here nor there. And I think that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Deputy Mayor Keim.
I'm going to add on to Councilmember Weiss's comments. I've gone to D.C. multiple years in a row with Ms. Leahy and advocated for our WIFIA loans for the Pure Water Project. And I think it's a fantastic project. Obviously one of my top concerns is California's water scarcity and conservation, but it's a huge challenge when we do the right thing. We make massive capital investments and our ratepayers save water, find new innovative ways to store water, and we get charged more. It's disappointing.
Councilmember Robinson.
Sorry, there was one other thing, and this is in regard to Mr. Knott's comment, because something he said, I think, might make people think that this council is going to have a decision as to these rate increases. And am I right in assuming we have really no role in approving or disapproving the rate increase?
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Robinson, Honorable Mayor and City Council. So as the representative for the City of Oceanside, I would have a vote. I believe we have the fourth highest vote in the county. And should this council choose to direct me to vote in a specific manner, I would be able to follow that. Otherwise, I would be voting in the best interest of the City of Oceanside and advocating as well to make sure that the Water Authority is able to keep financially stable. So taking both of those considerations in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I also, especially at the beginning, gone to D.C. and really advocated for pure water, and this whole community has been, Oceanside has been a huge supporter of pure water. The lead in this county, and to be hearing this is extremely difficult. But this other thing is also very, very extremely difficult to hear and to understand, and that is that of the entire budget for the Water Authority, in terms of just the operating budget, that's maybe 27% of the total budget, and the balance is debt service, something along those lines. Can you please explain that?
Sure. I'm not sure where those numbers are. It might have been when I was referring to fixed and variable costs. We currently have $2 billion worth of debt, and that debt service is a significant portion of our budget. In the 90s, the board at that time was facing a 30% cutback on water supplies during a severe drought, and they made the decisions at that time to invest in supply reliability. That included the desalination facility, deals on the Colorado River, and raising San Vicente Dam. So ratepayers today are paying for the decisions of those policy decisions that were made at that time.
Well, I certainly want to urge you in the strongest way to address that. I can't even believe it's gotten to this point, $2 billion in debt service. that would definitely reduce the costs of water if we weren't having to pay to get that $2 billion down. I don't know, negotiating whatever, you really urge you to address that big issue because that is so critical for, as you heard only from Mr. Knott. I don't think that people are understanding. We're talking just from Water Authority, a 20% increase in the water bill. And our residents are going to think that it's coming from us, from the City of Oceanside, and to have to explain it's coming from the Water Authority is just going to be incomprehensible to them. Councilmember Joyce?
Ever so briefly, I just want to share the frustration on behalf of the residents that I represent. These kind of rates definitely squeeze our lowest income residents the most, of which Oceanside has a high percentage of. So I think this is another example of agencies, large agencies, seeing a moment where we really need to shift the way that we actually do the business of delivering water. And hopefully we can start looking ahead to those actual structural changes that need to be in place, not just fighting against one year's rate increases, but actually changing the model. So thank you for coming. I do appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I know you're the representative, so you get to come and see us, but it's like we really need, this is our message to the Water Authority. Things have to change. What if all communities said no? What would happen then? What's plan B? But I do thank you also for coming, and hopefully people are hearing, understanding what's going on here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Leahy. This was informational only. Next item is item 22. Adoption of a resolution approving and implementing the compensation plan for unrepresented employees effective July 1st, 2024. Mr. O'Brien.
Good evening,
our Deputy City Manager.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of City Council. Robert O'Brien, Deputy City Manager. Before you this evening is a proposed updated revision to the compensation plan for unrepresented employees. The brief presentation I will be giving will provide an overview of the group's composition, the key elements of the revised compensation plan, and the estimated net new cost impact of the changes over the course of 2 fiscal years. The composition of classifications that make up the unrepresented group ranges from support staff on up to management and executive classifications, including the city manager and the city attorney. In total, the unrepresented group is comprised of 133 benefited full-time employees and 303 hourly extra help employees. In summary, the key changes of the compensation plan are as follows. All full-time classifications, including the city manager and the city attorney, will receive the following increases: 3.5% in July of 2024 and 3.5% in July of 2025. These same increases will be applied towards all hourly extra help classifications. And then, as outlined in the staff report, the plan provides for prescribed increases in the city's total contribution towards health insurance premiums and the 457 deferred compensation plan. 2 other notes: a special salary adjustment will be applied to the assistant police chief position, and that's to address current compaction issues we have with the classification of police captain. And finally, in approving the changes to the compensation plan, the City Council would also be adopting a resolution that will allow the fire chief to once again participate in the Retiree Medical Trust Fund that was originally adopted by the Oceanside Firefighters Association in 2016 through the International Association of Firefighters, or IAFF, and their medical expense reimbursement account. Overall, the estimated net new cost of the proposed changes to the compensation plan through the end of fiscal year 25-26 is $2.66 million. In conclusion, staff recommends adoption of the proposed changes to the compensation plan for unrepresented employees effective July 1, 2024, and adoption of the resolution that would approve the contributions to the IAFF medical expense reimbursement account. Thank you for your attention. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Any requests to speak from the public?
None.
Okay, to the council. There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. It is now 6 o'clock. This is the time for public hearing items. We're going to begin with item number 23, and I'm going to go ahead and ask Ms. Navarro to also read this item.
This time I got the right script. Item number 23 is a public hearing item for the adoption of resolutions for the following. 1, approving the appropriation limitation as required by Article 8B of the state constitution as modified by Proposition 111 for fiscal year 24-25, approving the fiscal year 24-25 City of Oceanside operating budget. 3, approving the fiscal year 24-25 Measure X operating budget. 4, approving the fiscal year 24-25 City of Oceanside Capital Improvements Program budget. 5, approving the fiscal year 24-25 Community Development Commission operating budget. 6, approving the fiscal year 24-25 Small Craft Harbor District operating budget. 7, approving the fiscal year 24-25 Small Craft Harbor District Capital Improvements Program budget. And 8, approval of a lump sum prepayment to CalPERS estimated at $21.91 million for the city's annual required unfunded liability contribution for both safety and miscellaneous retirement plans. Prepayment will provide an estimated $732,562 in savings, which will be directly applied to the city's CalPERS unfunded liability.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and correspondence.
Staff and public.
Staff and public.
Staff and public.
Staff and many public members.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Do we have any correspondence and or petitions?
All the correspondence that we've received has been forwarded to the council prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin with testimony by Jill Moya, who is our Financial Services Director. Ms. Moya.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm Jill Moya, Financial Services Director, and I'm here tonight to present item number 23, the proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25.
Just for a second, I guess you don't need to have the mic as high. That may be the reason why it's making some of that noise. Thank you. Right. Thank you.
This public hearing is to adopt the resolution stated on this slide and approve a $21.91 million prepayment to CalPERS for the city's required annual contribution to its unfunded pension liability. The fiscal year 24-25 budget incorporates council's direction from the April 17th workshop. All operating budgets are balanced budgets where expenses are less than revenues and revenues or one-time monies are not used to cover ongoing costs. Additionally, it meets all of our reserve obligations such as the Healthy City and Economic Stabilization Reserves. Total appropriations in the proposed budget for all funds is $604.5 million, with operating appropriations totaling $550.2 million and CIP appropriations totaling $54.3 million. For the general fund, the proposed budget appropriations increased by about $258,000 since the budget workshop on April 17th. $75,000 was added to Public Works for gopher control for parks. $8,000 was added to police for their National Night Out event. $75,000 was added for additional funding for KOCT, and $100,000 was also added for beach restoration. In total, next year's budget will have $867,000 for beach restoration. With these changes, we are projecting a general fund surplus of $1.02 million for fiscal year 24-25. For Measure X, the proposed budget appropriations did not change after the budget workshop. The proposed plan added $5 million for a firing range and training center, which will offset future costs of the police headquarters, a city council priority project. Additionally, the plan includes $150,000 for health and wellness programs for the fire department. The year 6 spending plan budgeted $18.8 million of revenue with $9.9 million of operating expenditures and $16.5 million for capital improvements. For Harbor, the proposed budget appropriations did not change after the workshop either. The operating budget for fiscal year 24-25 is projecting a surplus of about $340,000. One-time costs are $620,000, and the capital improvement budget is $2.53 million. The new CIP projects include S-dock replacement and R-dock replacement. For the water utilities proposed operating budget, there were no changes after the budget workshop. The proposed budget includes increases for energy and chemicals, 6 position additions as well as reclassifications, and rate increases. Solid waste proposed revenues and expenditures decreased due to the transfer of billing to waste management. With the proposed revenues, operating expenditures, transfers to capital, and use of reserves for water, the water fund is projecting a surplus of about $180,000. The wastewater fund is projecting a surplus of $3.8 million, and the solid waste fund is projecting a surplus of $340,000. For the proposed capital improvement budget, there were no changes to the capital improvement budget after the workshop. New projects for next year include Ron Ortega Little League restroom replacement and field upgrade design, El Corazon Park Site 1, and about $600,000 of ARPA funds for security lighting at Joe Balderrama, John Landis, and Melba Bishop parks. Additionally, the Crown Heights pedestrian lighting assessment is planned for next year with in-house staff. There were no changes to the water and sewer capital improvement budgets after the workshop. Significant projects that will continue next year include the downtown water sewer pipeline replacement phase 2 and water's progressive design build project. The total proposed CIP appropriations for next year are $54.3 million. Total CIP budget with carry forwards is $217.1 million. Additionally, the city has received correspondence from the community related to arts funding, so I wanted to mention the various contributions the city is making towards the arts. The city has contributed $25,000 to the Art Commission since 2014. There's currently $155,000 of unspent funds and they will be receiving another $25,000 in next year's budget. Measure X is also providing $259,000 of annual funding through arts programs, which include arts, theater, folklorico, and mariachi classes. In conclusion, staff recommends that City Council adopts the previously mentioned resolutions. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boya. This is a public hearing. This is a time for the public to have their voices heard. This is one of the most, if not the most, important action our City Council takes in the year. I understand there are 11 who have signed up to speak.
We are up to 12 now.
12. 12 who have, but you did not have to sign up to speak. We are going to call the first 12. Then after that, I will ask if anyone else wishes to speak. Because this is the most important action we take as a council, I'm going to leave it at 3 minutes for each person. So let's go ahead and get started on public comments.
All right. As you see your name pop up on the screen, we have 2 available lecterns. Please make your way to the next available one. Our first speaker is Jimmy Knott, to be followed by Robert Ashton, to be followed by Charlie Bowen.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. I want to bring up a couple of issues that have happened since your budget considerations. One is the pier, the catastrophe that took place there, and the lack of real planning and the openness to the public in that planning. We have a potential of opening up that planning to potential private development and public input on the design and what the public wants, not just replacing with what is and what existed. It does not want, the public does not really desire to have the same vacant buildings. We want to have something more exciting, something more in the future. The second thing is public safety. The problem is that there are certain streets that seem to be ignored into the city. I've been receiving some telephone calls, and they're asking me what can be done. I've given them direction on different avenues and backdoor approaches. The next thing is that we have the cutbacks in the COVID funding in other areas of the state budget, which has been severely cut. And that is affecting a lot of the senior citizen program. And we need to take and consider what effects that is having on our senior citizens and low income into our community, and how that those can be offset or be replaced, and how that we can take and find other ways of addressing it. Then we have a situation like the Water Utilities Department with solid waste, which was taken over by Waste Management. Those issues opens up a whole new can of worms, because what happens is Waste Management has become basically a monopoly unto itself, and very little public oversight. I would request that there be more circumventional oversight by the public of that, and I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Knott. Next is Bob Ashton, followed by Charlie Bowen.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. This is to our City Manager, Jonathan Borrego, and the staff, and I'd like to extend heartfelt thanks from Save Oceanside Sand for your dedicated efforts in recommending the establishment of our city's first beach restoration fund. Your additional work in the identification of $867,000 for approval represents another significant milestone for our community. As a beach city, our beaches and shoreline are critical infrastructure and should be funded with the same priority as any other vital infrastructure within our city. The establishment of this fund sets a crucial precedent for committing recurring funding from various sources. This should come from the Capital Improvement Plan, Measure X, and the total occupancy tax revenue. In closing, I strongly encourage a unanimous vote of support and approval for this important budget milestone and for the overall city budget. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment and hard work.
Thank you. Charlie Bowen, followed by Matt Caulfield.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. I'm Charles Bowen, and I chair the Communications Committee for Save Oceanside Sand. I'd like to thank our city manager and his staff who went back to the drawing board and came up with $100,000 in seed money for a new beach restoration fund, which staff intends to supplement in the future, subject to City Council approval. My understanding is that this will be supplemented with some additional funds on hand for the sand replenishment, and that the $600,000 budgeted annually for sand will be compounded, beginning with the current allocation. We must continue to work as partners in our efforts to restore Oceanside's beaches. Thank you. In closing, I'd like to reiterate that your historic unanimous vote last January was the high water mark for Oceanside for years to come. The Phase 2 pilot project is only one of its kind, and our city has the opportunity to step up and shepherd this project through to completion and scale it to the rest of the beach. This is new ground for everyone, both within our city as well as at the state and federal level, so the eyes of the world are upon us. Do not let this opportunity slip through our hands, as this will be lamented by ours and future generations. You've hired a smart and passionate coastal administrator who can make this happen for our city, provided that you empower her and provide her with the resources necessary to accomplish this. I urge you to approve the budget tonight as presented, because doing so is a good start for the current and recurring allocation of funds that will be necessary to restore Oceanside's beaches and provide coastal resilience for our shoreline. Thank you for your attention to this.
Thank you very much. Mr. Caulfield?
Good evening. I totally agree with the preceding speakers, and I also want you to know it was a personal pleasure to meet and correspond with several of you regarding this line item for beach restoration. First, a few short comments on a recent professional telephonic survey of registered voters. 86% of Oceanside registered voters support sand replenishment, with 90% support in Council District 4, which indicates support is consistent across all council districts, including those without shoreline. What this means is sand replacement is an Oceanside-wide priority. lays rest to the myth that it narrowly benefits shoreline residents. Our survey leaves no question as to the preference and high priority placed on beach restoration by all Oceanside residents. Almost all respondents support the view that saving our beaches, quote, preserves community appeal and property value. We appreciate your adding funding for beach restoration in the general fund. However, there is no provision for sand restoration in Measure X. The line item, beaches, beachfront, pier, park, should include beach restoration for two reasons. Beach restoration is in fact infrastructure, which Measure X is all about. And given our survey, its inclusion could be a major factor in gaining support for Measure Fall in the fall, as it would be perceived as responding to the public's clearly expressed preference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sonny Soto Briscoe, followed by Pat Caulfield.
Mayor, council members, thanks for your time tonight. My name is Sonny Soto Briscoe, community activist, Oceanside native, and I'm for Measure X funds. I'm highly in favor for it. But I got to be honest, I don't care about the sand on our beach. I know that these Measure X funds are allocated for public safety and for public infrastructure. And I just want to urge you that I don't see very much an opportunity for the public, for us as a community, to voice our versions, our vision, our perspective of what public safety is. A lot of those funds, most of them, are allocated towards the police department or the fire department. And I think that we can get better and more creative about what public safety means, as far as more crosswalks in places that are dangerous. My mom recently got hit by a mail truck walking from the bus stop in Oceanside, and we can use a lot more of those types of things. Specifically, would love to advocate for an allocated at least 1% fund to the arts, specifically for, I'd like to bring up the example of the East Side murals. Mayor knows we've had many, many meetings about these murals. They light a fire within our community, especially the East Side community that is more marginalized communities. A lot of people who have records for graffiti and things like that, but in giving them, empowering them to bring art to our community that isn't just for the hope of our own communities to share the culture and to make sure that we are keeping the culture here in Oceanside. But it is, you know, there are reports out there that show more walkable cities that have murals and things like that, they actually divert away from criminal activity in those areas. And this is something that we really need to look at. I also would love to bring in the fact of sustainable tourism for places like that. So a 1% allocated fund for the arts, at least for Measure X, would be a great start and something we'd like to see as a community. I also really would love to praise you guys for the work that we have been doing, the little bit of progress that we have been making with our houseless community and the shelters, the things that we are opening up in this forum. We need more of it, and I think that away from public safety as far as PD, but more public safety and affordable housing and actual programs and things that will help our people get on the street or keep them from finding their way on the street is such a huge, huge, huge priority with Measure X funds. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Pat Caulfield, followed by Amber Kay.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I don't really have much to say this evening. The last time I spoke, I said that I just loved all of you, and I am very happy to see things going in the right direction. I assume that all of you have as a #1 priority, including city employees, maintaining a vibrant economy, because everything else comes from that. And our beaches are the jewel in the crown for Oceanside. Our beaches drive our economy. So putting that line in about restoration, beach restoration, was something I greatly applaud. Thank you so much, and I still love you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the love. Amber Kay, followed by, is it Lamy? Yeah.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Amber Kay, District 4 resident for 21 years in Oceanside since 1989. Here just to give some yays and nays for the budget proposal that we have or finalized in front of us this evening. We are very happy to see that we are getting more money put into the community for safety. The last time I was here for budget, I talked about things like the crosswalks and things that we need for our communities, especially in safe corridors. I today was behind children on Rancho Del Oro who were in the turn lane on their bike with one on the handlebars. So, you know, we need to be looking forward as more e-bikes and things are coming into our community for community education, for safety, designated bike lanes for transportation for our students as they come to and from school safely, particularly in areas in District 4 that are around Front Wave Arena, because this is Rancho Del Oro, where not only do we have it as a community hub with our senior center and swim center and soccer fields, but now we'll be bringing in 7,000 plus people who knows how many times a week when Front Wave Arena is opened right at the time school starts again. So I'd like us to implore being even more proactive, as Sunny mentioned before, and putting more of our funding and public safety towards those measures. I love the police, but they don't need to be the #1 receivers of both of our budgets. Measure X could definitely use more money that is put towards our community. And in coordination with two speakers before me with Sunny, that 1% Civic Art Fund is really important for our local artists. And we talk about local economy and allowing people to thrive and what our local attractions are, like tourism. We are a cultural arts district in the downtown area, but art exists throughout all of our communities. Our artists come from all over Oceanside, not just from those corners that have been designated, and they deserve to be recognized and included in these topics and discussions. So I would like to make a thing that we move more for, make a priority in the arts in our community. As we have seen, we went to STEM, and now we're coming back to STREAM, because even in education, as an educator, we know the arts are very important for our well-being. Lastly, we do need to do more to address issues for our seniors, including parks and walkability, and that comes into the public safety. Beach line protection is also important, though, because of our environmental needs and shoreline protection, so I'm glad that we will be spending money in that space as well. But housing and seniors and public safety are number one. Seniors are the fastest growing homeless population, and UT just posted an opinion piece yesterday called Housing Nightmare, where several people are facing housing insecurity. I had a student email me yesterday, as I am a professor at Maricosta College, telling me how they're unemployed as a student worker over summer in limited hours at another job and will not be able to pay their full rent for the next 2 months over summer and may be evicted by the time school semester starts again in August. So these are things that as a community we need to be proactive in addressing in terms of affordability and well-being across all generations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And next is Lamy, followed by Marissa DeLuca. Lamy?
Everyone, my name is Amy. I live and work in Oceanside. As a youth, I was very involved in my community, and I've witnessed firsthand the diverse array of needs that exist in our community that impacts our individual livelihood and our collective well-being. I recognize from today's presentation that our Measure X funds are an essential revenue for our collective public safety. I'm here today to encourage our City Council to match similar funding that it's given to our police department, to our community. Those of us who our needs and resources are currently unmet, and I encourage to match that funding so that that we invest directly in towards our youth, directly towards our arts. And I also want to echo what Sunny and Amber have said. I do think the arts are very important in the community, and it's a way to tap into folks that are contributing currently to our collective health, safety, and well-being. So I'm here also to support the Civic Arts Fund through Measure X. And I feel the rest of my time I'm kind of sick, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. DeLuca, followed by Diane Nygaard.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Marisa DeLuca. I'm an arts commissioner for the City of Oceanside, the president of an arts nonprofit, Artists in Solidarity, and an arts educator and local artist, and I'm also a resident of District 1. In my community, Crown Heights, several young men have told me that a free art class at the Crown Heights Resource Center changed the course of their lives. Coming from generational gang-involved families, learning art-making skills and being encouraged to pursue careers in the arts has helped them to break the cycle. Whether or not children go on to careers in the arts, the practice of making art has well-documented mental health benefits, and resource centers give children a safe space to attend when they can't be at home. By interrupting the cycle of gang involvement through arts education, we make our communities safer and give kids a fighting chance at a bright future. Art programs are public safety. As you well know, public art reduces crime, making hidden spaces more visible and increasing foot traffic. Further, murals and public art that honors the neighborhood discourages tagging on walls. No local gang member wants to tag a mural that speaks about their heritage. The sense of shared identity that public art creates and the potential to heal relationships between gang neighborhoods is just as important as the new police shooting range. Public art is infrastructure. I saw in the Measure X 7-year spending plan, there's allocated about $1 million to community programs each year. In the infrastructure section, there is no funding for public art. I implore the council to prioritize arts community programs and public art infrastructure to enhance public safety. By establishing a civic art fund within the Measure X spending plan that sets aside 1% of the budget for arts. Thank you for considering my requesting.
Thank you very much. Ms. Nygaard?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. The traffic studies for El Corzo Master Plan were done in 2009. They documented numerous traffic failures of roads and intersections all around that site. These are the kind of serious failures of traffic that cannot be mitigated by widening the roads. They're already arterial roads. At that time, the City Council decided, in spite of this project causing traffic congestion and air pollution, we're invoking overriding considerations because we want the project, and of course, so did the community. But to do that, the process requires a good faith effort to address those concerns. And that good faith effort was integrated TDM plan for the entire site, incorporated in the EIR for that project. That was the council's promise to this community to take this issue seriously. That was 2009. Now it's 2024. There's lots of projects that have moved forward on El Corazon, but there's still no integrated TDM plan, no plan to fund TDM, and no obligations of projects to pay their fair share towards that. Instead, we've got 5 separate draft plans sitting on a shelf. Lots of talk about traffic and parking, but it is too late when the car is already on the site. That's what TDM does. It provides alternatives so everybody doesn't have to drive. The arena will be opening in September. We urge you to direct staff to make sure there is a TDM in place before that opening. Promise was made to this community in 2009. We think it's time to honor that promise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Maria, followed by Joan Bachman.
Hello, I'm Anna Maria. I wanted to echo a lot of what folks have already said, from like Sunny, Amy, Amber, and Marisa, specifically about allocating 1% of the Measure X funding for a civic art fund. I think that a lot of the money, well, the majority of the money goes to the police department, and I think that when you consider public safety, you have to consider public safety according to whom, and I think that police are not necessarily safe to a big proportion or a big group of people, so it just depends on who you're asking. For me, public safety means less money for the police. We need more pedestrian and bike-friendly public infrastructure so that folks can rely less on cars, and that'll be safer. That is public safety. It'll be safer for everybody that walks and rides their bike. In South O, right by the South O Elementary off of Stewart and Kelly, there is a crosswalk that doesn't actually exist, and it's right by a elementary school. There is a huge dip there, and I see cars fly over it and sparks and all that stuff, and one of the neighbors actually put their own like caution dip sign because the city wouldn't do anything about it. So that's another example of how that money could be used for public safety. And I think also more support for unhoused folks as things get worse in the economy here, and as more funding is going to stuff like, again, the Defense Department and police and all that. It's getting harder to live in Oceanside, especially for young people and senior citizens. So we need more funding for public arts, public safety, and public infrastructure. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Bachman?
Hello, council members. Joan Bachman with Friends of El Corazon. It's been great to see everybody at all the events over the last week. Good to talk to you. I want to make a point. Friends of El Corazon exists to help our parks succeed. We've been working on this since 2009, and one of the things that we're working on is getting a TDM coordinator. That is a Transportation Demand Management Coordinator. They handle much more than cars. So I had 3 or 4 options to get here from my house. I could have walked, could drive my car, I could have gotten on the little shuttle that runs around, or taken a city bus. I need you to be open to thinking about when bringing your car is not the most convenient way, or not, and certainly not the most enjoyable way to get to our new arena when it's packed because of some great event like Simone Biles coming soon, or any of the concerts they have planned. So you could join me this Friday when I want to go down to the Wave game to Snapdragon Stadium, and arriving on the trolley is a wonderful experience. You're there with all the fans, you get off the trolley, and even leaving, you're waving at all those people who drove their cars for some reason while you get back on the trolley with all the fans who are very happy. So we need a solution. I've already seen the problem. This picture is from the senior center. You see that little sign that was done in an orange Sharpie was done by me. It says free parking and an arrow. There was no guidance, no nothing. And you can see from this little bit of sidewalk here, you can't get to the other sidewalk. There's people walking in the street. People were circling the senior center parking lot like they're down at the airport looking for a parking space. It was ridiculous. It had nothing to do with construction. I was there. I looked at it all. It had to do with signage. There was acres of parking, but people didn't know it was there. even if it is there. You provide more parking, you're going to get more cars. You widen streets, you get more cars. This is how traffic works. So we really need this TDM coordinator. It is not a part-time job of somebody somewhere. It is somebody who really focuses, and they've got to do a lot more than just cars. We have 5 TDM plans for El Corazon. None of them helped the situation because there isn't a coordinator. No one was talking to NCTD. There was no shuttle from the Sprinter station. There wasn't stuff that went out before the event with the organizers saying, try to carpool, ride your bike, do something different. So we really need this. We could lead the way. Having more parking spaces is not the answer, wasn't this night, and it won't be in the future. So let's get that TDM coordinator position staffed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. You do not have to have signed up early, as these first 12 people did. If you wish to address the council, please approach the podium. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. You identify yourself and then speak for 3 minutes. I see no one rising, moving towards. Oh, here we go. I saw a couple of people moving to the back, so that's why I said that. So, sir, please identify yourself for the record, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Deputy Mayor and council members. My name is, this isn't working.
It is working.
Oh, okay. My name is Stefan Lani Aloha Rowe. I live at 4026 Olive Drive. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to you tonight. I'm speaking about the Olive Park apartment complex that's going in the end of our street. You can see by the picture up on the screen, this is College. Traffic coming down.
Mr. Rowe, I'm going to stop you right there. Are you here to talk about the budget or the Olive Street development?
Olive Street development.
Because I do have you registered on the off-agenda topics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is primarily for the budget
All right,
adoption.
I apologize.
That's okay. Now we know who you are. Now we know who you are.
Shall I?
If you could sit, and then we'll call you at the next, on the next item.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Thank you. This is for the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dinah Polanitz. I'm an art curator and director of Hill Street Country Club, one of your art and culture district designated hubs from the state of California. I'm here to remind everyone that art is part of this economy. The arts have brought in $57 million into the Oceanside local economy, 45.7 million in the downtown district. Since we're talking about Measure X funds, we're talking about sales tax fund, and that means that some of that money is generated from the arts. The arts is not just murals, it's performances, it's programming like workshops, workforce skill programming. I mean, you have Brixton, which is a multi-million-dollar clothing company that was born in Oceanside that's created by the Starter brothers, who are artists. We are neglecting an opportunity to create not just a beautiful city, but a strong civic identity that has a positive impact and an influence to those who visit us. When we're building an arena and also like hotels, not everyone goes to the beach. Some of us visit museums, some of us go see plays, concerts, participate and buy something special that can only be found in Oceanside. The arts is an economy. And also compared to our neighbors in San Diego, they generate $1 billion from the arts. If we have an arena, are we going to start having Comic-Con-like events? That's the arts. We need a budget for the arts, so please allocate 1%. And also, the facts are 33% recidivism rate goes down when you introduce arts to young people. You got to give them something to do. And creative workforce is a way to like channel that energy and express how you feel, but also maybe go to school and become a director or architect or engineer or a historian. Is all rooted in the arts. So please add 1%. Thank you so much. Also, Camp Pendleton raised.
Thank you very much. Sir?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, my name is Briscoe Yoke. I just
wanted to speak on behalf of the $5 million allocation that I just saw towards the police and the post shooting range, I guess. It does seem lazy to a city to just throw $5 million at police funding when so many people here have spoken about the need for alternative community care, like the arts, like public transit, like our senior citizens being able to use, the most basic modicum of public infrastructure, such as being able to walk from where they live to the grocery store or the school they need to be at. I just think that it's a complete waste, inexcusable, and I know people are raving about the beach sand, and like more people were here talking about, not everybody goes to the beach, and seeing the absolute state of our natural landscape and the amount of invasive species and the amount we have ignored the land in Oceanside, it breaks my heart. There's really no telling where Oceanside is headed if $5 million is going to some crap like.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? On this budget item? Okay.
Not everything's about Palestine, but yeah, I just wanted to say sorry I didn't prepare anything, but I would also encourage, to allocate some of the money from the budget for, making. I mean, Oceanside is a tourist town, so making it more walkable, there's a lot of like wildlife corridors that could be improved, or spaces you could make for parks, or definitely some of the organizations that promote the arts and after-school programs. So if you're not voting on it today, I wouldn't mind doing a little. Sorry I didn't prepare. I could do a little research and suggest some more things. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Doesn't look like anyone else is coming forward, so I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing and go to staff to respond to any comments that were made. I think there was a good presentation about how much money has gone to art, and this is actually the first year that Measure X funds after-school programming has really been as robust. Could you maybe repeat some of the highlights of that? Ms. Moya, I think you did that presentation. This is the first year. Last year, there was a fund set aside for $1 million for after-school programming under public safety that included the arts, performing, visual, the whole thing, programming. This was really the first fiscal year that it was a full year that this program has been jump-started and done, really met the $1 million mark. Ms. Moya?
And Honorable Mayor and Councilman, I'm going to go ahead and take this in because I happen to have the numbers at hand. Okay. In the interest of saving Jill having to dig for it. So you are correct. As part of Measure X, there is a component of Measure X that is dedicated towards youth intervention and gang diversion. And as part of that, we did fund we're currently funding about $259,000 worth of programmings. We have the Art Miles program, the Slice of Art program, youth theater program, and then also money allocated towards mariachis and ballet folklorico as well, again totaling $259,000. So that is a significant amount of money, and that is generally, though, however, allocated towards youth programming, but it's certainly is having an impact in the communities, and most of these programs are actually serving our most challenged neighborhoods. So certainly, I think, meeting the mark there.
Thank you. And as to funds going to the Arts Commission, I did have a question before I call Councilmember Joyce, who's signed up first. The $160,000 that is going to the Arts Commission was specified, the bulk of which I think it's 150, going towards wayfinding, a wayfinding program, kind of an arts program. If, now, would the Arts Commission be able to change the program if they wanted to for that 150,000? Say they didn't spend it all on that. Could they spend some of that on something else?
So, is my mic's on? Yeah. Ever since 2014, we've been contributing $25,000 to the Arts Commission. If they don't spend it in that year, it rolls forward to the next year. And so that's why right now there's been a couple years where there hasn't been a lot of spending. So the current balance in that fund is $155,000. They'll be getting another 25 next year, so that will then compound. And they do have the ability to decide how they're going to be using those funds.
And Honorable Mayor and council members, if I can add just as a point of clarification, the $100,000 for the wayfinding signage program is actually in addition to that money. That's actually a CIP item that was added to the budget under the libraries. I believe it's going to be a library-led program, but that's in addition to the money that Jill just quoted.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Joyce.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, thank you, staff. They everybody put a lot of work into this budget, and it shows there's a lot of really great investments. I heard people bringing up safe streets. The good news is we definitely have invested more in safer streets, including those crosswalks that were asked about. So a lot of that was allocated last year in last year's budget is getting spent through on this year's allocation, and it's a yearly allocation. So those improvements will continue to be invested in. I wanted to bring up that we didn't have a conversation about it, but the skate community has reached out specifically about lighting their skate parks. Other park communities have spoken out about lighting play and recreational spaces, particularly because in the wintertime when people get off work, they have very little time to get from work to a recreational space before it gets dark. And so even before our parks are technically closed, it is dark where we would recreate. And skate spots historically have been thought of as like a children's play place, but it's actually a lot of adults that use skate parks nowadays because those kids got older. So I don't see a direct line to do that in this year's budget, but I would advocate that we make a direct work on that over the next year. The main thing I did want to bring up, and I'm also supportive of our sand efforts. Awesome job finding funding for sand. We all know how important it is and how much energy there is behind it. There's also a lot of energy behind the civic arts budget, allocating a steady budget on a yearly basis to civic art projects. That would be all across our city. I would also hesitate because I know we brought up there was a lot of spending that incidentally went to arts, whether it was spending on youth programming, which is amazing, but let's not take from youth programming to make civic art. Let's actually invest in civic art on its own. I'm sure that the $25K a year that the Art Commission gets is great, but that's hardly enough to cover a single, and really not enough to cover a single strong public art project, to pay a professional artist to do that work, because that's real work. It's not a plaything. This is a professional person. We want to make sure they're compensated appropriately. So Oceanside is going through all these changes, many of which have great benefits to our residents, but it also leaves residents feeling like they're losing part of their history. And when you pair this with the rapid rise of cost of housing, it can feel even worse. Investing in our civic arts is a way to preserve our cultural heritage. It's a way for our city to say to our people that we see you, that you belong here. We know it has a whole range of positive impacts beyond when it comes to just like civic pride, economic investment, increased tourism throughout parts of our city that don't experience it right now. We currently invest in art in our cultural district, which is amazing. I happen to represent the whole cultural district. It's a great place to be, but I'm also asking, why are we not directly investing in the art in the other districts, 2, 3, and 4? There are amazing individuals that deserve to experience the daily benefits of walking by art invested in their own neighborhood. Places like El Corazon, Martin Luther King Park, Mass Buchanan Park, Melba Bishop, John Landis, and Buccaneer Park, many of those are undergoing big changes that could really benefit from a strong civic art project. Civic arts are not fringe expenditures that should come at the end of a budget when we have some money left over, or that come incidentally through investments in other areas. Arts are essential. Arts save lives and address our human need for belonging and inspiration and expression. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget with the incorporated change of 1% of Measure X yearly revenue specifically designated for civic arts projects.
All right, is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Anyone else wishing to speak? I would actually like to say that and I actually wrote a few notes here, we have a wonderful staff recently tested by our peer fire, really 100-year kind of catastrophic event, and we came together like a family. We are actually understaffed with police, with respect to police and fire. And I know there was a comment about our shooting range. Actually, we've had an outdoor one that has not been working out well. We need to have our police officers to be able to be trained. That $5 million is very critical to the training of our officers and to be able to have them, because they are understaffed, to make sure that they are able to cover all the needs of this community that we have here in Oceanside, 176,000 people. Other cities are experiencing significant deficits, and we are able to pass a balanced budget with no major cuts or deferring or postponing of critical infrastructure and maintenance. I remember the years that we were putting off maintenance, and it came at a high, dear price, because finally, when we finally had enough money to do that, it cost a lot more because there was a lot more to do, and it was a much worse situation, the conditions. We have a few issues that we need to address, including creating a permanent fund for sand nourishment, which I'm so happy that we were able to get a program presented or created by Mr. Borrego for this year, and then hopefully the following years it'll be more robust. We need to, we'll be needing to identify a steady revenue stream, which is something that I've been really pushing. Like, we need to recognize that, identify that. For example, while we do not have all of the TOT that will be produced by our beach resorts. We're receiving some of that, and it gradually will increase, but we're not really relying on it, and that's where I think we need to look at. We are relying for the next 2-3 years, is my understanding from staff, because those are going to be very challenging years for the city in terms of the budget. But after that, and especially post-election, and see what happens there's a rumor, yes, it's coming to council meeting on June 26th, Measure X, the extension of Measure X. We will need all the support from our entire community to be able to move forward on these critical programs. So, and beyond that, if it is extended by a vote of the people, and I will say that polling is showing strong support for sand as a significant basis in moving forward for Measure X. which will be presented to the council on the 26th. So there are a couple of things. I would like to have this as a discussion so that, the main motion being that we approve, it's adopt the resolutions and approve the lump sum payment to CalPERS, which is the main motion. And then the couple of things that I would like to see that are not very expensive, but I hope that we will seriously consider them, is, here we go. I know that you're really wanting to do the art fund for the same reasons that we can't do that for sand. We're doing as much as we can at this point, but I would like to see the Art Commission get a kick up for another $25,000. I attended the Arts Commission meeting a couple of nights ago, and one of the commissioners reminded me that they've only had $25,000. It was $25,000 10 years ago, and nothing has happened to that. So I would like us to consider adding another $25,000 to that annual fund as we look to ways of identifying how we can get more money into an art fund. I also would like to have us consider $25,000 towards a combined, because we have fireworks, right, every year, and I actually have been discussing with staff the idea of transitioning from fireworks to a drone, a light show that would be kinder to our veterans, to our animals that we don't think of as animals, our pets, we think of as people. And so I'm really hoping that we could do at least a hybrid for next year, which would, as I understand from staff, be another $25,000 to the already, I'm sorry, I don't have the number, but I think, is it $40,000 that we have for fireworks? So another $25,000 would allow it to be more of a hybrid. This year, too late, not enough money in the budget for the one that's happening at the end of this month, the beginning of next month on July 3rd. But I would really urge us to go to try that, have this. Other cities are transitioning from fireworks, as I said, because of the impacts to our community, as well as to environment, and also the fact that it could start fires. And one of the things I'd like for our youth to be, and others, that are choosing to do fireworks in the neighborhoods, to look at other ways of doing it, such as drones. I even reached out to Maricosta to see, can we have like a program to show us how we can do this? I understand a typical light show would be 200 drones. So a really, really cool one would be like 300 drones, that kind of a thing. But I would ask us, I'm asking my colleagues to consider that. And that's basically it. I'm asking for $25,000 in addition to the $25,000 that is allocated to the Arts Commission, another $25,000 for the fireworks. But I'll go ahead and make the main motion, and then by amendment, see if that'll work. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to adopt the resolutions and approve the lump sum payment to CalPERS. Is there a second? Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you. I'm okay with some type of funding for arts, as Councilmember Joyce mentioned. My suggestion would be take it to the Oversight Committee at their next meeting to see how they would weigh that against all the other Measure X funds, and have them make a recommendation back to us at some point. I'm not prepared to do it tonight with this budget, and I'm not prepared. I'm willing to move forward with the city manager's recommended budget, but I don't want to start picking it apart, and whether it's $25,000 here or $50,000 there, playing let's make a deal tonight. So I'm willing to adopt his budget as is and give direction to staff to go to the Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure X and have that conversation about funding for the arts.
So for the main motion, you're seconding. Okay. Deputy Mayor Keim? Oops.
I think I want to point out what we've done the last few years. So we have, I think we have about half the per capita tax revenue that one of our neighboring cities have. Yet they have a deficit. They're cutting positions this year. We are not. And that's because our staff has done more with less. We have more challenging conditions in the cities. Our police officers work harder. Our firefighters run more calls or up at night. Our staff, sometimes one staff member does a job of 4 or 6 or even 8 of other cities. And because of that hard work and the careful planning over the entire year and decisions that are made, we have a balanced budget and really can provide these good public services at a good value. So I thank you for staff for that. I think that's not noticed at the end of the year when we run a city this way. So I'm also open to adjusting Measure X, but I'd like to find $5 million a year for sand out of Measure X. It's a capital project. Again, that needs to go to the COC, the Citizen Oversight Committee, and plan. And also with Measure X sunsetting in 26, we need to see what the future that's going to be and plan for the entire next 7 years if it's going to be there, and have a plan for arts, have a plan for beaches, have a plan for public safety. So I don't want to start picking it apart here. So I'll second Councilmember Weiss's motion. And again, thanks staff for running a lean, responsible city. And it's not lost on me, especially how that is longer days, harder work, and sacrifices. So thank you.
Yeah, there's already a main motion on the floor, which was basically the staff's recommendation. Okay, Councilmember Joyce?
It was staff's recommendation plus taking it back to the COC for the arts, right? Okay, when is the next COC?
Honorable Mayor and council members, the next scheduled COC meeting is in December.
Perfect.
Can we ask for a sooner meeting than December? Or you want to wait till December? Okay, I would just bring up that we talk about picking it apart. We have an extra $800,000 for sand this year. It's not, things can change. It just doesn't change when you're asking for stuff that, anyway. I would also like to point out that we adopted an Oceanside Master Arts Plan that says we should be dedicating $400,000 a year to arts. And so this allocation would not even get to halfway. So I would like us to start moving forward with the things that we said we would. I appreciate the support for getting it back to the COC. I just get frustrated when we wait till December on things that we just don't need to. People cannot live on just sand, no matter how much we love it. So thank you.
Well, okay, so there is a main motion, and I would like to go ahead and make what is it called? Amendment. Yeah, thank you. Addendum, no, amendment. And that is that we increase the Arts Commission's fund from $25,000 to $50,000, which I think would be fair in light of the last time this was done was 10 years ago.
I second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and there's a second to the amendment. And again, I think that it's been mostly for public art, and there has been a real increase on that. So is there?
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
I second it.
Put your.
I made the motion and he seconded my motion.
It was.
No.
Councilmember Weiss, you want to clarify?
It's in order.
But.
Yeah, he seconded my motion. Correct?
You had a motion on the floor to adopt the resolution and approve the lump sum payment to CalPERS. Councilmember Weiss seconded with the caveat to go to the advisory commission regarding the arts.
Yes.
So you're amending your main motion to increase the Arts Commission budget from $25,000 to $50,000.
Yeah, that is the amendment. But I just wanted to clarify that there is a motion on the floor that was seconded by Councilmember Weiss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so would that include the increase of the Arts
there
Commission?
is an amendment on the floor that was seconded.
Well, I'll withdraw my second.
Well, that's already on the.
Well, then let's vote on it.
Well, okay,
have to vote on
there
the
is an
amendment
amendment on the
first.
floor. We have to act on that before we do this other thing. So, let's just go ahead and vote on that.
If the amendment is to the main motion,
Right, to the main motion, yes,
but
which is,
Councilmember Weiss, as the second to that motion, has to agree to that amendment.
I don't agree to that amendment. I will withdraw my second.
it's an amendment, no, it's, I'm not asking him to agree to it. I'm asking for a second to an amendment. And so it may fail. Let's just vote on the amendment.
I'd like to speak.
Which is on the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's important. We created Measure X. We sent it to the voters, and part of that was having a citizens oversight committee. And we got to follow the process. I don't want to sit up here and not send something to them. It has nothing to do with arts or sand. That's why, whether my priority is the beach, his is arts, I think anything that we change needs to go to the COC, which is why I supported that motion.
Okay, so this is only to the amendment that is on the floor right now, not the main motion. The main motion has motion and second. It is there. It's not going away. This amendment, does anyone wish to speak to the amendment? Councilmember Robinson, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make, where are you talking about getting the funding for this amendment?
There's, what is it, 800,000 that is left.
The $25,000 comes from the general fund, so it would come from general fund surplus, which is right now at $1.02 million.
1.02. My apologies. All right. Done? Okay. Councilmember Joyce, I think this is going down.
That's all I was going to speak to, is that this isn't coming out of Measure X, so we're not violating a COC or anything. This is coming out of the general funds, $25,000 from a $1 million and $20,000 surplus.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Robinson.
Okay, but you're talking about permanent funding out of a surplus that we don't know in future years what that's going to be. So you're committing money.
An additional 25,000, yes.
What? I can't read lips. So.
Sorry, I was saying 25,000. Sorry, I'll wait for being recognized.
Do you want him to answer?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Okay, go ahead and answer.
I was just saying that 25,000 is a very small amount to make an adjustment in the grand scheme of our budget of $550 million.
I don't know why it didn't come up. What? Never mind.
And I can respond to that. This has come up from me asking staff about this potential after our workshop. It is true. It was after our workshop, but I did talk to staff before the meeting tonight about the 25,000, and actually basically said I intended to bring this up. It's not a whole lot. It certainly won't hurt. It's not taking any money away from any other and I know everything is very critical. So, Deputy Mayor Keim, did you want to speak to the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to support the $25,000 out of the general fund. I am objecting to the way this was all handled right now. It's the lack of order here and clarity is shocking. So let's vote. When they get to the main motion, please.
Okay. Councilmember Joyce, did you want to speak one more time? No? Let's vote on the amendment, and then we'll go to the main motion. And I guess fireworks is not going to happen. Okay. This is for the amendment, which is to add $25,000 from the general fund to the Arts Commission funding, yearly funding. An additional $25,000. Okay, that passes.
Amended motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. So the amendment has been approved. So now there is a main motion with the addition of $25,000 added to the Arts Commission. So let's vote. No other lights. Let's vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. Let's take a 5-minute break. Come back at, is it 7:15? If you could come back, I did want to make a statement before we go on. since we still have staff here. One, two. Okay, we have 3 people.
We are back in session.
CJ, could you hold on? All right. I did want to, actually meant to do it before the break because I wanted to have the staff still here. And I did praise our staff. They are the best. At this time, I wanted to say something. I wanted to publicly apologize to one of our employees. During a recent meeting, I used words that were inappropriate. This is someone who I've had the honor to work with for many years, a leader in her field. I met with her earlier today, and I believe she has accepted my apology. I'd also like to extend that apology to those who were present. I am very sorry. I look forward to continuing our work together, create a positive change and higher quality of life for our community. So thank you very much. The next item is public communications on off-agenda items. First, advanced written requests to reserve time to speak, and that's Ken Layton.
Madam Mayor and Councilman, every Oceanside business owner I speak with who is a member of the Chamber of Commerce say they get nothing in return for their annual membership fee. That's their business. But when a high-tech company flees this city, even as high-tech thrives in Carlsbad, and our low-tech, hapless chamber has no clue what to do, that's our business. And when the city entrusts the chamber to run a 60-year tradition called Harbor Days, and the chamber kills it because of laziness and deadbeat incompetence, that's our business also. Thanks to Visit Oceanside and Main Street, community events and civic promotion are, to various degrees, getting done. But the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce has checked out. You're getting nothing done. All that's left for the Chamber's Scott Ashton to say, paraphrasing here, I've got special friends on the council, and if you want special access, we're your special group. The dirty little not-so-secret is that this is the only chamber in the county that gets free rent from its host city, and it's the only chamber with a PAC that gives to candidates. In December, this council was to discuss the renewal of the 20-year free rent agreement the city gives to the chamber, but it was tabled at the last minute. Gee, Ryan Keim or Peter Weiss, did either or both of you instruct staff to wait until after the election before you again give away the farm, that is, free rent on city-owned coast highway property? Here's an idea. Let the chamber buy their building at free market rates. Prove, Mr. Ashton, you're not a deadbeat apple polisher who does nothing but pander and give campaign cash to your council buddies who then allow you to nurse off the public heat. The chamber made endorsements in this election that we're in right now without even interviewing most of the candidates. Already got your mind made up, Mr. Ashton? No one thinks the chamber endorsement matters much, but the PAC cash they collect from developers does. The simplest way to describe the City Council Chamber of Commerce relationship, you do me and I'll do you. What an embarrassment. Mayor Sanchez, you endorsed Victor Roy apparently just because he lives in a mobile home and mobile homeowners vote. How'd that work out for you, Mayor Sanchez? Now you've appointed Shelley Parker to a city commission, apparently because she's an office holder in a group that has mobile home in its name. This group has contributed to you, Mayor Sanchez. How backwater can Oceanside be that it would allow you to appoint someone from a lobbying group that gave you money to a commission? Each month, we hear about a new case of, say, an 80-year-old lady getting evicted for no valid reason. The mobile home park owner knows she can't afford to defend herself. The park owner gets to keep the home once she's made homeless. You can't name me one instance where your buddy Shelley Parker and her group has ever done anything to help these people. Mayor Sanchez, if you can't figure out it's inappropriate to appoint someone from a lobbying group that gave you money, I urge your colleagues to step in and stop this obvious conflict and civic embarrassment. And according to the Franchise Tax Board, the homeowners group where Ms. Parker sits as a board member has been suspended from doing any business in California since August 2021. I urge anyone who would like any documentation on this to contact me, and I'm happy to provide it to you. You know how to get a hold of me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next is item 25, which are communications from the public regarding items not on this agenda. And I understand that's 22 people.
Just real quickly, aside from Patrick Higuera and Pat Hartley, is there another Patrick that signed up to speak? Same one? Okay, thank you. And I understand Mr. Rowe is here. No, I'm not calling you up yet. Is there? But
he's so anxious. I want you to call him first.
He's ready to talk. He's got something to say on his mind.
He needs to be called first, okay?
But aside from Mr. Rowe, is there a Stephen R. that wishes to talk? Nope. Okay, so we do have 20 speakers instead of 20.
20, okay. So that'll be 2 minutes each, and I would love for you to call Mr. Rowe first.
All right, Mr. Rowe.
Mr. Rowe. You've been standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, so you've earned your right to be first.
Well, Honorable Mayor and Council, thank you so much.
Before you begin, Mr. Rowe, how many minutes?
2.
Okay.
Yes, we have 20.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm here to speak about the Olive Park apartment complex.
Yes.
This is 282 units that are going to be built at the end of our street on Olive Drive. We're talking about 600 plus more cars that's going to be on our road. This land, the soil testing is not good. We're talking about 4-story apartment complex that's going to be built on this property. Already, it's a safety hazard getting out of our street onto College, and we need to really seriously not think about funding this project because of safety reasons. There's no second egress from this property, and they could easily, if this did get funded, I don't want it to be funded, but if it is funded, there could be a ground level exit that would tie into Avenida del Oro. But I would really appreciate you really considering not funding this project because of safety reasons and because of traffic that's already compacted on these streets. And to have 600 more cars would be just ludicrous. It's just ridiculous, this project, what it would cause. And actually, a park at the end of the street would be the best thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knott, followed by Patrick.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. Now that we've settled in with districts in our city, it's time to start redesigning our council governance to be more district-centric and responsive. And this has to do with budget reflections and to use the city charter to enshrine such, as well as to advise and to take and direct our city attorney's office to enforce citizens' ordinances, not just city council desires and wishes over the city ordinances or city's direction. This way, if there is a citizen's complaint, the citizens can then approach the city attorney with an issue that can be addressed with the sufficient direction that would be set forth by the council in a means that would be appropriate, thus empowering the citizens of the city. That we should also take and empower each council member with a district office and also with certain budgetary items that they could take and allocate to their own use. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, followed by Ryan.
Yeah, I just want people to know what type of council members we have in Oceanside. Oh, this Patrick.
I was going to say you could have put Patrick H., but that still wouldn't work. This is Patrick Hartley. You signed up later with
my brother.
Sorry for the confusion, sir. All right, Mr. Hartley.
Thanks, Zeb. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. You cannot enslave people or kill races of people, whole races in a continent. You cannot do that as a human being unless you have persuaded yourself that, one, they are not people, their lives are not worthy, that you have a mission to do it. No human being can do that. I don't know if that's malice or psychosis, but it exists. And people that do it know it, and they know they are living a lie. That's from Toni Morrison. Now, I said regarding the budget that not everything is about Palestine, but in some ways it is, because there's intersectionality, there's services for women, women's rights, refugees. But I'm sure you've all had some tough questions, tough moments. We had to question your intentions, your motivations. We have to appeal to your sense of morality. It hasn't worked, but maybe we can appeal to your sense of political survival. I know you all want endorsements, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, donors, your PACs, certain congressmen, but at some point this endorsements may be not be so advantageous if they are funding an authoritarian fascist theocracy. I know that's a mouthful, but we thought we were done with fascism back in World War II, but it seems some of it was just getting started. It's mind-boggling to me that we have, as citizens, not only have to psychoanalyze why an entire country of Israel can play the victim while simultaneously playing self-righteously dehumanizing people enough to normalize and justify apartheid and genocide, which they openly admit they're committing. I just skipped to the end, but we have to grow up. I mean, as America, because we've all had that abusive relationship, but this is ridiculous.
Much,
and you can't build a community on lies.
Thank you. Ryan, followed by Free Palestine.
Good evening, Council. I'm here again, as many of us have been for the past weeks and months, to demand that you put a ceasefire resolution before the Council for a vote. The situation is only getting worse in Gaza, and it's happening with American weapons and tax dollars. As I said in public comment a couple meetings ago, one child in Gaza dies every 10 minutes, and 70 children are injured every day. So I want you to think about, that time marker as we progress through, the meetings that you all have as a city council and during the recess that I understand you're going to be having in July. Unfortunately, it's come to the point where we have to put, horrific images like this of the innocent souls lost in Gaza, often bombed with American bombs. for us to reach through to you. And yes, it's just kind of a shame that, there's nothing being even done, nothing in response. I'm sure that I'm Eric Joyce, Esther Sanchez, Rick Robinson, and Peter Weiss didn't grow up wanting to hold elected office in the United States of America and, to witness a genocide happen and do nothing about it, to use their elected positions to do nothing about it and to make sure that Oceanside says that we stand against genocide. And a lot of us have been coming here demanding this. So the last thing I want to say is that we're going to continue to hold you accountable. We know the elections are coming up. We know we're going to make sure that the public knows that you've refused to put any ceasefire on the agenda. And, this also extends to city contracts, refusing to do to have any city money in companies tied with Israel and the apartheid and the genocide and the crimes that are continue to be committed in our name. We really need City Council to take action. If you don't think that children should stop dying, well, we need your vote on the record.
Thank you very much.
You want to say the name? I didn't think you would say it. It's okay. My name's Sunny Soto Briscoe, Free Palestine. I didn't prepare anything today. I just happened to be at the meeting and decided I wanted to stay for this part. It's been 242 days since the October 7th incident that everyone wants to make sure that they focus on, but over 75 years of absolute horror for a fight over indigenous land and a genocide of indigenous people, which is crazy to me as a Luiseño native here at my chambers in Oceanside that I can even speak when this is built on Luiseño land. And if to think of my ancestors being genocided on social media and people in this room who tried to represent our city built on our land to absolutely just be quiet and packing your bags, being ready to go to dinner for your family is absolute horror when I think about the things that are going on and the literal war crimes in a military city with our military here that we say that we respect so much, to be sending government money and to be sending American tax dollars to fund a genocide that is really in the voice of white supremacy. Let's be real. It saddens me because in this 242 days, I've had to celebrate a Mother's Day when mothers are being blown up. I've had to celebrate Dia de los Niños when children are being decapitated in lands beyond and on social media for us just to be desensitized to. For me, I'm not versed enough in politics to understand why a piece of paper we can't just draft. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't going to make a difference in the presidential stop of this genocide or anything like that. It just shows Oceanside residents that you all represent us because we hired you to, and you have that piece of paper that you sign your name on, and it is just as simple as that. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much. Next person is Anna Maria, followed by Naxa, followed by Patty Kay.
I think it's Naxa, but anyway. Okay, I'm Ana Maria. I mean, if I could just repeat everything that Sunny said right now, I would. We know that you all can't do anything about an actual ceasefire. We know that. We're not ridiculous. I think a lot of, well, I don't know, but I assume a lot of you might think that we actually think you're going to do a ceasefire. We know it's symbolic. And that, I think, is why it's almost like even worse that you won't put a ceasefire resolution to at least let people talk about it and vote on it. It's almost worse because it doesn't take it. What do you lose, right? What are you losing to do that? I have no idea. So 15,000. You all know what that number represents? That's the amount of children that have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. 15,000. Most of them are school children. I know you have school children, Eric. I do too. I don't know. You do too, Ryan. I think most of us, maybe not most of us, but a lot of us here have children that are in elementary school. Of those 15,000 that are school children that have been murdered, a big majority of those are also kindergartners. Not only have children been murdered, 15,000 again, that's just such a disgusting number. It shouldn't even be one. If it was one, I would also be very alarmed, and I would also be asking you to put some kind of a ceasefire on the agenda. But 15,000, like, come on. Where are your hearts? Where's your humanity? Like, how do you not hear us every time get up here and y'all are just silent? Your silence it's the loudest thing in the room. So I'm just appealing again to your humanity and for the lives of these 15,000 kids to just some things.
Thank you. Knoxa, followed by Patty Kay. Patty Kay, and then Roses.
You started the time early. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, Council. I put my name as Nexa because today, June 5th, we commemorate El Nexa, and I know absolutely no one on this panel knows what that is, unfortunately. Nexa is the, not celebration, but commemoration or the memory of what occurred in 1967. The reason why Palestinians live under military occupation in Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. June 5th, 3 villages in the West Bank were destroyed, and in order to cover up that war crime, the Israeli Zionist occupation decided to build a park over it. They put European trees that are not indigenous to the land to further ruin the ecosystem. If you want to know which side's the colonizer and which one isn't, look at who honors and cherishes the land versus who destroys it. I just want to point that out. They ruined a over 780-year-old Moroccan quarter. So there's a Moroccan heritage in Jerusalem. They didn't care, kicked them out. And that's why we're under military occupation. Every day I go to sleep at 3 a.m. and I wake up at 6 a.m. And that's because I watch every day war crimes happening. I see them bombing my ancestral homeland. I see you guys don't see us. There's a documentary or a docuseries called When You See Us, and it's about the Central Park 5. You guys have yet to see us. I come every day. I was born and raised here. I don't mean to brag, but probably have a higher salary than 99% of the people in this room. I have very high property taxes, and you still don't want to see me because of my ethnicity. And it's really, really disturbing. We have celebrated, Mexican national Independence Day. We had something for the Filipinos today, nothing for Arabs because we do not matter, and I'm very sick of it.
Thank you very much, Nadia. Patty Kay, followed by Roses, followed by Richard Newton.
Okay, good evening, Council and Mayor. 2 quick items for the citizens to be aware. The first one is regarding the proposed changes to the election process of the Council, which was pulled off the agenda but will return. So it appears to be a last-minute effort to get on the ballot 2024. It provided no supporting documentation to justify even the discussion. And B, since RCV did not make the ballot, it appears to be a substitute. The voting process, may I remind you, is not flawed. It is up to the voters to make this process fair. The second item is Measure X, soon to be on the agenda, which was also referred to many times tonight. With all the new revenue for tourism, with the hotels, the tourism, the new buildings of housing units, the rise in property tax revenue, surely the City of Oceanside can appropriate money in its operating budget for its needed expenditures. Can you say that in the last 6 years since this started that your revenue has not increased drastically? There is always waste. I challenge you to find that waste and appropriate the funds better. Give taxpayers a break. Give Jimmy Knox a break. Give us a break. Stop taking money out of our pocket and spending it because anybody that has extra money will spend it for whatever. In fact, your polling company that you referred to is unfortunately terribly biased, and it even states it. It states, the goal is to assess feasibility of placing Measure X renewal on the November ballot and to determine how best to package this measure for voter approval. In other words, how best to trick the Oceanside residents into thinking Measure X is needed and how they should vote for it. may I say that everything is important to some people, but not everything is important to all people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roses, followed by Richard Newton. No roses? How about Richard Newton? No Richard Newton. Patrick Higuera? Oh, there he is. I thought I saw you earlier. Followed by Patrick Higuera, the second Patrick.
Mayor Sanchez, members of the council, and the public. I believe that Pride Month is silly and wrong for the government to observe. This statement is not intended to insult or belittle those individuals. They have the right to their lives as they wish to pursue their happiness without harassment. But sexuality deserves no special recognition by the government. If you think that Pride Month for LGBT is a good idea, why stop there? Why not have a Menage a Trois Pride Month or a Swingers Pride Month? That is, of course, an absurdity. A day is bad enough, but a full month is beyond ridiculous. Government time and resources should not be spent to celebrate sexuality. Aren't there better things for Oceanside to focus on? Has Oceanside contacted the United States Coast Guard to request that our coastline is being properly protected from illegal aliens crashing on our beaches? Where's the Biden administration on that? Has Oceanside condemned the Biden administration for its open borders policy that have flooded our country with 30 million migrants? Some of you may complain about a lack of affordable housing for Americans. What do you think adding 30 million new people will do to the supply-demand curve? Same thing applies with health care costs for Californians that now must underwrite migrants thanks to Sacramento Democrats that gave them free health care. Has Oceanside issued a condemnation of New York for its kangaroo courts and its weaponization of its legal system against political opponents? The Democrat governor, Attorney General, and Soros-backed district attorney have all said they would target Donald Trump specifically. The old Soviet mantra, show me the man and I'll show you the crime, seems to apply. We as Americans all suffer from their actions, which are a precedent to politicize our courts. Or how about criticizing our Democrat governor, Gavin Newsom, who wants to raise taxes on us while he squandered and lost $24 billion that has not been accounted for? To be clear, I am not attacking rank-and-file Democrats, but the Democrat Party leaders. America is entering a new phase, and it's ugly. And the Biden administration and Democrat Party leaders are responsible for its decline of our great country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patrick Higuera, followed by Rosie Higuera, followed by Ember.
So again, I just want the people of Oceanside to know the members that we have on our board for Oceanside. Hey Joyce, when you were on the OESD school board, not once did you ever vote on the parental side for parental rights, of visibility for their kids, or to be able to opt out of curriculum. You talk about equality, but you never defend the heterosexual community or their rights. In fact, you're okay with fifth graders indoctrinating kindergartens by making them read gay books to them and through the buddy system, through your school district, the Encinitas School District. In fact, which they're nationally known for the Boo Bash, when they had inviting elementary kids to see drag shows. In the OUSD libraries, you're okay with hundreds of books with pornographic pictures of sexual orientation on little kids, and you're okay with thousands of failing grades for those kids. I think 50 to 40% are failing in English and math, but you're the liaison here on the board for them, and you do nothing to help the OUSD school board. You just indoctrinate. You're bad for our city, helping illegal nationals acquire our social services for free, along with the housing, and you don't help our veterans at all. What kind of benefit is that? Remember, you're on the Oceanside City Council. You're supposed to be helping our kind, not coming across the border. On Instagram, you have this picture of going to a Palestinian rally, and I thought you're an American. How come you don't stand up for the Jewish community? Yeah, there's your name right there.
Okay, stop that.
There's your name right at the bottom, so you can't deny it. You need to be
Thank
an
you very
American.
much. Thank you. Rosie Higuera. Sir, if you are not able to be civil, we will ask you to leave. We are just trying to finish the meeting here, okay? If you signed up, you'll have a chance to speak your 2 minutes. Thank you. Rosie Guerra, followed by Ember.
All right, so Eric Joyce came to the Encinitas School Board. He also works with special ed at the La Costa Heights School, I believe for special ed. Here he is gaslighting parents and community members that elected him because they're not for sexualizing and indoctrinating their children. Here he is in his own words.
Number one, stay the course. Keep our kids safe just as you have been. We know that our generation would have been much better off if our schools had created safe places like this. In fact, I feel certain that our kids will never see board meetings like this in their future because of the future that we're building together every day. We're showing them the better way, so I ask you to stay the course. Number two, Encinitas teachers will not be bullied into othering our kids. To boost the Instagram profile of someone who's blaming divisiveness for their own personal gain, I urge the greater community to bring any parents who genuinely want to have meaningful conversations in about acceptance. They're always welcome. We've always been a school that values the students' unique perspectives. And if you're one of those students, you're safe to have those perspectives and those conversations in our schools. If you're one of those parents, then do yourself a favor and unscribe from this toxic social media BS that's misled you to be here. Being a teacher is hard, but one decision that isn't hard is to support our youth every day. That's one of the easiest decisions we make.
So as a respected elected official, you are hating on parents for exercising their constitutional right. Fifth graders should not be sexualizing kindergartners with these types of books. Our taxpayer money should not be going towards this, Eric Joyce. And it's sad that you're teaching little students.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ember, followed by Zoe Erickson.
If I might just respond
My
very
apologies.
briefly.
Councilmember Joyce.
Thank you for
Please.
sharing that. You're welcome to share the whole conversation because it is so important here on Pride Month that we make it again very clear that all children are safe in our schools and all children are safe to be who they are in our city. That will not change. Please play that as many times as you want.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to Ember.
Hello. Please take the time to listen to us tonight and show us some respect. Try to stay awake, Rick Robinson. Had trouble with that last meeting. I'm not sorry you guys are tired of hearing about the deaths of Palestinians, but we are not done, nor are we tired. There have been over 37,000 Palestinians murdered by the illegal Israeli occupation since October 7th, over 15,000 of them children. Numerous refugee camps have been bombed and attacked from the ground. On May 26th, I woke up to a video of a father holding his headless baby and sobbing with tents engulfed in flames all around him. This video was seen across the globe and across the country. His name was Ahmed al-Najjar. This is why we are angry. Indiscriminate violence. He was beheaded by the IDF during a tent massacre in Rafah on May 26th. 45 Palestinians were murdered, 249 were injured. The bombs used to do this were made in Santa Clarita, California. As I try, you guys make it seem like it's not a local issue, and it is because our money does go over there. Many companies and corporations that Oceanside does business with directly fund Israel. This means our money, Oceanside money, goes to fund genocide, such as Caterpillar and Pierce, the fire trucks. Caterpillar Incorporated is the world's largest manufacturer of construction and mining equipment. They supply the bulldozers that are then retrofitted by the IDF and used in some home demolitions, the construction of illegal settlement infrastructure, border walls, and military checkpoints, of which there is 200. And military assaults against Palestinians. Caterpillar has boasted that ITE, Israel Tractors and Equipment, had a major role in building the country infrastructure with Caterpillar equipment. since its founding in 1948. They brag about their involvement in the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, where 78% of their land was stolen violently from them by the illegal Israeli occupation, and 15,000 Palestinians were killed. Oceanside does support genocide, and we urge you all to take measures to prevent further funding in genocide. This would be in the form of a business screening so that you can see where funding is going before doing business with these companies.
Thank you very much. Zoe, followed by Rob Howard.
Hi. Good evening, honored mayor and esteemed council members. I thank you for letting me speak again. I'm talking about the Olive Drive project as well as my neighbor, Stephen Rowe. Last time I was here, I mentioned again the traffic problem on that one little street hitting Olive and College. One point I'd like to bring up is with this one street, they are also talking about a dirt road right now, is supposed to be made bigger, to go behind all the houses for emergency vehicles. We've had a number of fires over the 40 years I've lived there. And every time we have all kinds of looky-loos that come down and congest the whole area. And we have trouble with the firemen trying to get in. And I can just imagine, even though we have the project people are trying to indicate that they're going to build this building and that's going to help take care of the homeless problem out in the field. Well, not really. You're looking at over 30 acres more of undeveloped land, and they're still going to be there, and there's still going to be fires, and there's still going to be problems with the traffic. So I just wanted to bring that point up, and I thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Rob, followed by Amber Kay.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, in this 2 minutes, I wanted to talk about Coalition of Black Trade Unionists and the Oceanside Firefighter Charity Fund are coming together for a fundraiser. I wanted to talk about the fact that CBTU is trying to work to open up doors for people of color who are in non-traditional trades and connecting them with our firefighters. I want to ask thank each of you for being open to hearing what people have to say. This is not a time where we can not be seen. It's not a time where we ignore how people feel. In no way am I saying you have to agree with folks, but I just want to thank you for actually listening. And I just ask everyone to continue to work together, being respectful of each other, because we have different ways of viewing it. The event is going to be on Friday, June 14th. We're bringing events to our senior center, the Country Club Senior Center. But I just wanted to really focus more time on us recognizing that hearing each other, seeing each other, and working together makes a difference in everything that we do. This is a collaboration between two organizations that probably normally wouldn't work together, but it is an effort for them to work together because each of them is doing good work in the community. And so it's a day of laughter and music. Friday, June 14th, it's the night before the Juneteenth celebration down at the beach. And again, thank you for what you do. And please see folks that you normally might not see and work together in places you might not work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber Kay, followed by Cheryl Rowe.
One more time, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name's Amber Kay from District 4. I just wanted to follow up with some things that were important to me as a citizen here and were not addressed because I haven't been able to attend for family reasons, like Jimmy Knott, for a couple of weeks or the last 2 or 3 meetings. I have been watching on Zoom faithfully, so thank you, KOTC, and for that extra funding that you are giving them so that when we are unable to be here, we are still able to be present as members of the community. And secondly, I want to say thank you to the firefighters. I haven't had a chance to reach out to the chief and to the members who did show up when the pier burned down, because as someone who's lived in Oceanside since 1989, and even my single mother managed to land us a cute beach bungalow on 136 South Pacific Street for some of my younger years. I fished off the pier, brought home dinner, all of those things. So that is an iconic place and holds dear to many of us in our childhood and core memories. I actually, in high school, had a house burned down while living here in Oceanside, and before moving to California, our mobile home burned down in Colorado in 1986 when I was 3 years old. So I'm very sensitive to loss by fire and have tremendous respect for our public safety officers in that space, because I have experienced firsthand what they do and how they tend to families and community, and to watch how powerful they were during that incident that happened to our community, and to our council members who showed up and stood with our community, knowing the value that that has for us is a part of our community well-being. It's a part of our community mental health, and last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. So I just want to say thank you to those that are making that happen. And lastly, as a resident of D4, I just want to piggyback off Diane earlier, because the TDM plan is essential. I don't know how or where or what you guys plan on doing, but I hope you really are going to blow our socks off with something amazing, because right now, all of us who live in the area are worried. I'm talking to seniors who are already skipping Tai Chi, and children, parents who are already skipping swim practice because of traffic, and when the arena hasn't even opened yet. Thank you.
Cheryl Rowe, followed by Carol Lay.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Rowe, and I was here 2 weeks ago and talked about the Olive Park apartments, and I was wondering if we had another meeting with a developer, and he showed us a picture, a PowerPoint of what the street looks like on Olive, the corner of Olive and College. And there was no traffic. That's why Stefan bought a picture, because we don't know, I don't really understand how, if the developer comes and presents what they want to do to you and when that is. And I was wondering, on June 26th, this is what we read, that you will actually vote whether that is funded or not. Is that true? Are you the ones that will vote? Or do we need to go to the Planning Commission?
If you want to complete your comments, and then I probably know informationally only.
I want to show you this massive two buildings. We had a question about the soil, because in 2005, they did a soil test, and they tested it that even single family homes would not sustain this ground. So I was confused how this 282 apartments could be past that test. So I was asking the developer during his presentation, could you show us how is that possible? And he says, well, we're going to build up on 6 acres. We're going to densify it so that it will eventually pass that test. So my plea is that we stop talking about this development without having a proper traffic test done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But you were asking if Olive may be on the council meeting agenda for June 26. It is one of 5 projects that was proposed for applying for some affordable housing funds. Mr. Borrego, did you want to address that?
Yeah, just to clarify that point. So yes, essentially the city issued a notice of funding availability for use of a portion of its affordable housing funds, and the project on Olive Drive is a project that has applied for those funds. And so we will be bringing an item to the City Council on the 26th to have that discussion about which project should be funded using that money.
Yeah, the RFP was for 1 project. 2 were selected by staff, went to Housing Commission. But you are welcome to come back on the 26th. Thank you very much. Carol, right?
Yes.
Thank you. What's your last name?
Ley, L-E-Y.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I live on Olive Drive also, and I'm urging you to vote against funding for the Olive Park Apartments. Like I said, I live on Olive Drive. There's only 20 houses on that drive. And you're proposing to put 280 apartments with 300 parking spaces, which is going to multiply traffic by at least 14 times. And if you look at this picture, there's like a little road in the front there. That's just a service road. That means that over 600 cars are going to be driving up and down our quiet cul-de-sac. The neighborhood is got 3 streets and they all end in a cul-de-sac. There is no through traffic. And you're going to ruin our neighborhood if you put that up. I'm not very good at public speaking, but it just seems if you guys go home tonight, just think about 14 times the traffic in your neighborhood. And it's a one-way street. I mean, just one car at a time. So I have no idea how they're going to get cars in and out there. And that's all I have to say, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Carol. Christina, followed by Jake Parveen. And before you start, I wanted to let the public know that Councilmember Robinson had to leave by 8 o'clock to catch a very important flight. So he wanted to stay and listen to everybody. Unfortunately, wasn't able to. Go ahead, Christina.
Here we are again. Israel is still bombing innocent civilians, the U.S. still providing the money and weapons to do so, and silent bystanders such as yourselves allowing it to happen. Maybe you can suggest what actions we take next. We call and email our elected officials, we get ignored. We show up at their offices, again, they ignore us. We peacefully protest at the places that are abusing our money. We get beaten, thrown in jail, and have our college degrees held from us. We try to send aid to the victims ourselves and are shut down. What else do you suggest we do? As long as there is this threat of white supremacy and fascism that is trying to dominate the world, we will not stop telling you that you need to help us stop it. At the last meeting I attended, I tried to speak with one of you council members I have never spoken with before. I asked him why he didn't feel the need to respond to the many people asking for a resolution. He said he didn't feel like repeating himself. He said he had so much respect for me that he just suddenly stopped listening to what I had to say and turned to walk away. Do you think your parents wanted to repeat themselves to clean up your room? Do you think teachers wanted to repeat themselves telling students to pay attention in class? I highly doubt it, but they do it because it's their job. Their job to get you to try to do the right thing. You work for the city, the people of the city. The people are repeating themselves to try to get you to do the right thing. And you continuously ignore us, or even worse, treat us as though we are some kind of dangerous and radical bunch. Not wanting the oppression of people to continue should not be considered radical thinking. I think it's disgusting the amount of disregard you have when we tell you about the horrific tragedies happening in Gaza. I get so extremely offended whenever you look away from a speaker to do something so unimportant. You know, CalCities.org has a PDF titled, Your Role as an Elected Official. I can forward it to you guys, but I'm sure it'll go ignored just like the other emails. But there's a lot of good points in there that you should brush up on. A whole section on conduct with the public, and even a part highlighting the appearance of active listening. I think it might benefit a few people in this council.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Jake Parveen.
Please put a ceasefire on the agenda. Thank you.
Jake Parveen.
Hi, my name is Jake Parveen. I live in South Oceanside. I came here today to second a call for a ceasefire resolution to be put on the agenda. I know this has been presented before, and that the council members have expressed their unwillingness to address global issues. So I'd also like to bring forth an issue more directly connected to the jurisdiction of the city council members. I urge the city council to launch a divestment campaign in which the city divests from any stocks or mutual funds with ties to the genocide in Israel, following in the footsteps of other cities in California, such as Richmond and Hayward. These cities have divested from companies such as Caterpillar, which was noted earlier, and Dell, and Microsoft Corporation, and many more. I would like to read you a quote from the mayor of Richmond, Eduardo Martinez, who said, "I do not believe our city should profit in any way from companies who facilitate this kind of violence. This is not only in Gaza, but any place in the world. We need to do ethic investing. We need to be socially conscious in how we spend our money and where our money goes to. Our money should not be used. Our money should be used to build cities, not to destroy it. Your silence is complicity." Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We're now on general council member comments. Councilmember Joyce.
So I just want to bring up a few things that are coming up. On the 15th at 10 a.m. here at City Center is our Juneteenth celebration, which is the celebration of the first day that every previously enslaved person was free. That's when the word got to Texas. So come and celebrate with us. We'll be down here with our local North San Diego County NAACP, like I said, at 10 a.m. There'll be really fun activities all day. That's a great chance to interact with your fellow citizens and a really amazing event that's been going on for a very long time here. The other one is on June 7th. It is Gun Violence Awareness Day. So I encourage you, if you feel inclined to wear orange on that day, that is the color of choice. Unfortunately, so many people in our own community have personal trauma around experiencing gun violence. 120 people are killed every day in this country with a gun. And this day on the 7th, which is Friday, is a day where we can all come together and say that we can actually end gun violence here with common sense solutions. So if you feel inclined, wear orange. And then I'm also going to add that I do also advocate for the end of violence abroad. 15,000 children is an incredibly horrifying number. It's about the same number that we have in Oceanside Unified School District. Approximately 1 million civilians fled to Rafah, which is where the conflict is now headed, and the world is calling for this horror to end, and I agree. We need to do everything that we can to end it as soon as humanly possible. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, no other lights. So just a brief thing what I've done this last couple of weeks. I attended and spoke at the UEI graduation. I believe there were like 400 students, many of them from Oceanside. I and other council members attended the Dr. MLK Scholarship event that is through the City of Oceanside Housing Commission. They granted over $100,000 to high school students, families living in Oceanside, and that was under the chair of the Housing Commission, Inez Williams. I participated in a call to action with other coastal cities regarding AB 2560, attended the Visit Oceanside Annual Tourism Summit, kicking off the summer, literally with a beach ball. We did a groundbreaking for Fire Station 9 at North River Road and Wilshire. Actually, Councilmember Weiss got there on time, and the firefighters waited for me to show me everything, and it was really great. We had a USA Elite Taekwondo 19th year event at the amphitheater bandshell. We also had, of course, Pride by the Beach. There was a meeting this past Monday with very little notice by LAFCO. The City of Oceanside is having for the first time an MSR done, which is basically a study, a municipal study. Unfortunately, it sounds like LAFCO is trying to get us up to annexing significant parts of county land. They actually indicated that the city could actually serve 1 million people, which is just, it was shocking. We were able to get them to extend the time before it goes out to public comment for 4 weeks so that the city could submit comments. There were a lot of mistakes in their report, and including the notion that the city has voluntarily done slow growthing since 2000, which is absolutely ridiculous. I attended the Arts Commission, Oceanside Community Foundation, which was a celebration because they just reached $1 million in gift giving, grant giving, excuse me. I attended the Oceanside Pier permitting meeting with the state delegation, and a couple more events this Saturday. Really quickly, we've got the powwow that's happening Saturday and Sunday, Latino Book and Family Festival that's happening on Saturday at Miracosta. The powwow is at the Mission, and then the Filipino American Cultural Organization is hosting their big celebration this coming Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m. here at the Civic Center. Please come. And I'm going to go ahead and adjourn to the next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be on June 26th, 3:30. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.